Hello, everyone. Oh, my door's open. That's fine, right? Nobody cares that my door's open. How are you all? What are you doing? Hello. I am Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. Hi, everyone. It is good to see you all. Hey, all the people we're chatting about. Krellin points out that X-Men First Class, The Shape of Water, and Hairspray all take place around the same time and place, which I didn't realize that, the X-Men hang out in Baltimore, which, that's cool. Hey, Ice Bunny. It is true. I could only start once Ice Bunny got here. Otherwise, what would the point even be? Oh, Evie, why haven't you slept in 2 days? Also, I am glad that it is summer for you. Hey, PH. PH, welcome in. It is good to see you. Oh my gosh. All my friends are here. It is good to see you all. I'm very excited. And Barentor, Thunir, everybody's here. Hey, everyone. I want to say hi. There was this really great discussion in Discord, which, by the way, where are they? We have a Discord. Yes, I was a little distracted by Discord because we're having a really interesting conversation about sandbox RPGs, which of course is my bread and butter. It's my fave. It's the thing that I love. And because sleep is for the weak, also books. I see you. Hey, Rissa. I see you all over there. I see you. Sleep is not for the weak. It is for the people who need sleep, which is all of the people. Now, please note, Evie, I often do not get the sleep. So it's not like I'm judging you because I couldn't, because whenever you point your finger at someone else, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you saying, Trooper, you don't sleep enough. So, I mean, I'm not judging, but I'm just noting. I'm noting. Hey, Pumpkin, how is everyone doing? So I want to tell you all something. It's show and tell time. First off, hold on. We were having this really great discussion in the Discord about sandbox games and specifically Dragon Heist. And how do you get sleep is for mortals? What if you point with knife hands? Then you have multiple knives pointing back? Oh. But thinking about the difficulty of sandboxes, and the thing is, I have a show and tell I want to share with you, but I won't show you yet. We will see the game today. But here's the thing. This is really... people talk a lot about how they want the freedom, right, in RPGs. People talk about this a lot. And in my experience, that is not exactly true. I find a lot of players who come from more traditional backgrounds want the illusion of choice and freedom, but they don't want the responsibility of choice and freedom. They don't really want choice and freedom. Because here's the thing. Full choice is a lot of responsibility and a lot of work on the player's part because they have to be proactive. They have to make choices. They have to shape the world. They have to do things. And that PH food. I have some. I have a protein shake at the moment, which is my pre-stream excitement. And once stream is over, then I'm gonna get, I don't know, some kind of food that'll be delicious. I don't even know what it is yet, but it'll be awesome. Evie says, I'm going to sleep eventually today. Good. I was going to go to IKEA to get bookshelves, but I had to buy a new door lock because I locked myself out of the house and had to destructively re-enter. Oh, Evie. So here's the thing about a sandbox, right? So here's the thing about a sandbox that many players are not actually prepared for. They like the idea of like, I'm gonna do what I want. But I should have ordered food, but delivery time was 45 minutes. Ugh. I'm going to eat later. I'm having a protein shake for now, but I will have. It has sand. That's the thing about sandboxes. There's sand in it. No, the thing about a sandbox, a real sandbox, is that the players drive the narrative. They create the story, right? So they decide what they... I hate sand. It's harsh and rough. Not like you. I always have a to-do list, but I also am generous to myself. Like I make a to-do list with like 20, 30 things knowing I can't get to all of them. And I'm just like, if I can cross off a couple of things on my to-do list, I'll just roll the next things over to the next time. So it doesn't give me anxiety having a to-do list. It works for me. So anyway, players have to shape the narrative in a sandbox, right? They have to decide what to do. When I do a real sandbox, there isn't, I mean, there are factions doing things, but I do not expect that the PCs will interact with those things. I mean, sometimes those things will interact with them. But the thing about a real sandbox is that the players make the plot. And a lot of, yes, see, Krellin knows it. The problem with sandboxes is that characters need internal motivations, whereas RPGs have trained them for decades to operate on external motivations. And this is 100%, this is just so true. What Krellin says is the ultimate problem of the sandbox, is that players have been trained to respond, to operate on external motivations, and not have internal drives. And I think that this is one of the big pitfalls for doing a sandbox with people who have not internalized the need for internal drives. Rissa says, original Mage was painful because you defined your own spells and people were used to D&D magic. Yeah, maybe why I didn't play magic users for the most part. Yeah, and this is true. Like if you are not used to, if as a player you have never been given actual agency to do things, where not only do you not drive the plot, but you don't have to drive the plot, that you can let the plot come to you, right? I mean, if you think about it, a traditional D&D game is so on rails. Like traditionally, it's so on rails, even if it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it doesn't, because players have choices, but everything is, think about it. You create some characters who have really no internal motivation. That's why my group hates my games, as I'm a sandbox GM too. I mean, I have developed strategies over time to bring people along into a sandbox mindset, but right, they like their rails and their daisies. Falcon, yes, they like their rails and their daisies. Oh yeah, ooh, technocracy. D&D 5e probably isn't the thing to use for sandbox the more I look at it. Comes down to preconceptions that we were talking about the other day in the system. Right, yeah. GM builds railroad, the players get involved. Thomas had never seen such a mess. And this is actually really interesting, is that I think you can do sandbox in 5e, right? But there's a lot of preconceived notions about what the game is supposed to be, which means that you're going to be fighting against those preconceived notions. You can do it, but you have to be so intentional and so thoughtful, and you have to know what the pitfalls are. And I think very often players don't, like GMs don't know what the pitfalls are, and I mean, it has to be really deliberate. So for example, I was just having a conversation with someone who said a thing about making characters, which was their philosophy. And their philosophy was never ask what anybody else is never ask what anyone else is doing with their character. You just make it what you want to make, the character that you want to make, and never adjust your character to party composition systems. And yeah, you can do most things in most systems, but sometimes the system's fighting you and sometimes the system is helping you, and that is completely true. I mean, I think about the ways in which, just even little details, right? Like little details even impact how that system will help you or hurt you. What kind of, even things like the leveling system. Hey, For Santo, how are you? Welcome in. We are talking right now about sandbox RPGs. We are going to be playing Horizon Zero Dawn today, but first we're talking about sandbox RPGs and the difficulties of running them, because sometimes the system fights against you, but oftentimes preconceived notions fight against you, right? So I was talking about this person I was talking to whose character creation philosophy, which is really very much comes down to D&D training, I think. I can't pick between all the options without some constraints, and party composition gives me some constraints. We're doing the talk about RPGs and our music for an hour before playing game portion of the stream. This is fair. Building a character that's more than an archetype is the most important thing, I think, for getting away from system on rails. Yes. This is the thing that so this player was like, in my philosophy is you never you basically just make whatever this is like in a D&D context, right? That you only you make whatever character you want, and then everybody else just has to deal with it, right? So you just make your character, everybody has to deal. Maybe there's whatever, maybe there's no character, maybe there's not. So the thing about that is a player who also is not interested in what the GM has to put out, but the thing is that GMs within a D&D context often don't give you any context, right? Because that's often not the contract. The contract is, the most they'll say is, hey, make a first level character. These are the books you can use. But, right, there's a kind of an unspoken idea about how character creation works. I think it's amusing that Trooper already has it on the game mode as if we're going to play the game today. Hey, it might happen. I absolutely love Phase Trio. Oh, from Fate Core. Oh, yeah. You know, for some, it's really good. If people don't know the Phase Trio in Fate Core, your character is defined by 5 aspects. Your core concept aspect, your trouble aspect, and then 3 others. And like your core concept aspect would be something like, you know, detective with a drinking problem, that you know, like hard-boiled detective with a drinking problem could be your core aspect, maybe. And then your trouble aspect could be always falls for a pretty face, right? Or sucker for a hard luck story, right? That could be your main and your trouble. And then you get these 3 other aspects that help define who you are. And if you do Fate Core snarky swashbuckler, yeah, right. See, that's good. Oh yeah, no, it's Fate Accelerated is a little different than Fate Core. Fate Accelerated is sort of like the light version, but they're both very cool. And then the Phase Trio, for those of you who don't know it, is that it's a character creation process where you go through, or you talk about how you met each other, right? So sort of like, hey, each person has an adventure that interacts with 2 other people, right? And you get these other elements from this interaction, like, oh, so like, and these are basically, it's like what was happening before the game started. We start the game here at point C, or let's say F. What were the adventures you had A through E that led you, and how did the other players interact with them? And then from those interactions, you get your last 3 aspects. And right, so that's already. Oh, I know. I have show and tell. So there's something really interesting about that you get things that are connected to each other. But in a sort of a traditional D&D mindset, you just make a character, and maybe you have a backstory, but very often those characters don't have drives. And you cannot have a good sandbox without characters that have drives, like things they want to do, right? Goals. And if you look at even 3.5, right, the player's handbook, they've done this really good job of adding more elements, right, to your character, so that your character has, like, they actually sort of mechanize backstory a little bit so that your characters have some. But you get sort of personality traits, you get ideals, you get a bond, and you get a flaw. But if you look at these things, which help, right? These backgrounds help you, but they're not goals that are drives. So if you look at, say, characteristics, I've lost too many friends and I'm slow to make new ones. This is for the soldier. I can stare down a hellhound without flinching. So these are part of your personality, all right? Your ideal, I do what I must and obey just authority. That is not a driving goal. That's an ideal, okay? Bond, my honor is my life, all right? And then flaw, I have little respect for anyone who is not a proven warrior. That really helps round out your character. But it is not a drive. It is not internal motivation. Some of the drives are goals. Pumpkin asked about Gen Con. I am GMing 3. I'm GMing a scenario for 3 sessions of the game Clockwork Dominion. So if you search for Clockwork Dominion and you look for the scenario In for a Penny, that is the one that I'm GMing. I'm GMing twice on Thursday and once on Saturday. And Clockwork Dominion is a steampunk sort of gothic horror game that uses cards rather than dice. And I would love for, the Foxhole to sign up. Random people will sign up too. Clockwork Dominion tends to have a lot of slots because a lot of people want to play it at cons. But I'm really excited for, the Foxhole to come in. That's what I want to say. I'm an angry orphan. Grr. Evie says, I'm an angry orphan. Grr. 75% of all the backstories. Yes. Yes. That is fair. But the thing is, if you're running a sandbox, you have to have characters that have goals, have long-term and short-term goals that drive them into action, or it will not work. Like, it is really hard. I mean, you can do it, but it's really hard if you don't have characters that have internal motivation to have a successful sandbox. Outlanders' bonds have several goals. I am the last of my tribe and must sustain their legacy. I will bring down wrath upon those who destroyed my homeland. Yeah, at least they've got something, right? And I think that it's really important if you're going to do a sandbox that is successful, that the players have to have goals, things they want to do. They want to buy a ship of their own. They want to get revenge on so-and-so. Like, they have to actually have something that moves them forward, or else... you can do it. It's hard as a GM to sort of force them to have internal drive if they don't, especially if PH says that he gives most of his character goals, right? And I think it's really important. But the thing is a lot of D&D characters, a lot of D&D players are not used to that because it's never rewarded, nor does it come up, right? And I think... the thing is, it's not like traditional D&D players don't have certain skill sets, because they do, right? They do have certain skill sets. And there's a certain particular kind of game you have to play, right? Like, if you were a traditional D&D party, there are certain expectations on you. And my character's goals are much more immediate. Protect this party from harm, but he doesn't look beyond the here and the now. Even Tover had the goal of returning home and resuming his life as normal, initially always. Right, actually having your own goals Colin says is frequently punished in traditional D&D. And also, the idea of having only an immediate goal, protect this party, is useful. Okay. So the goal of protect this party is a perfect D&D goal, because what it does is it keeps disparate characters that have no reason to hang out with each other in a group. And so very often you have to go and have a kind of these kind of goals where you're like, my character is a team player, or my character wants to stay with this group because we just got thrown together in an inn and we have to hang out together. So you sort of create these immediate goals, but that will not drive you in a sandbox. Forla Santo says, I'm also a big Burning Wheel fan. Beliefs are the central concept, and you don't advance your character unless you are engaging character's beliefs in a meaningful way. Just going out and killing mobs is nothing to advance your character, and that frees everyone up from D&D style hamster wheel XP grind. Yeah, and the thing is, I want to say that there are really important elements, right, to a successful D&D character in a traditional way, right? So you've got to be like a successful D&D player in a traditional sort of setup is going to find excuses to stay together as a group, as opposed to not, right? And sometimes this is hard. Sometimes you're playing the lawful good paladin and there's a chaotic evil assassin in your party, and you've got to figure out a way to make that party work. Now, this is because traditional D&D, people make whatever rando character they want, and somehow it all has to work. Yeah, right. But this is part of the thing that I'm talking about. That traditional D&D is external motivation, not internal motivation. It's not a sandbox. It's on rails and daisies, and it's pretty, and we like it, right? That traditional players... according to first edition rule, paladin and assassin cannot be in a party together. Oh, but you know how they do it afterwards. This has given me a lot to think about, but once again, I have plans that interfere with my watching. Okay, put more thoughts up on Discord, Barontor, because I want to hear them. And in that traditional D&D space, there are these tropes that everyone is expected to interact with, right? Ooh, food! PH, what food did you get? The thing is, I actually think rails are easier on the player. That's what I think. I think the imagination is that it's easier to do rails if you're a GM. Oh, ooh, Greek food. Ooh, I actually think that rails are easiest on the players because the players don't have to there's a lot of responsibility in a sandbox. But if you're on rails, right, as a player, and actually there's some ways, if you are not doing a module, if you're doing you create the adventure on your own, Rails can be really hard as a GM because you have to give the players everything, and it has to be exciting and amazing, and the players just get to sit back and consume, right? They get to consume this adventure, but they're expecting like a great arc with all this, like they're expecting certain entertainments, and you know, you got it, but players will help you, right? If you've got the players who are into it, the players should be helping you on that railroad. So for example, if you say, hey, you all meet up in a tavern, they're going to be okay with that. And if you say there's a mysterious man with a cloak in the corner, they're going to go and talk to the mysterious man in the cloak in the corner because that's part of the trope. And then the person in the corner says, hey, I've got an adventure map, and then they will take the adventure map, right? So there are, and then they're going to go, and then the person says there's a dungeon, and then they're going to go to the dungeon. They're going to collect all their supplies. They're going to go to the dungeon, and then they're going to explore the dungeon and get the stuff, and then come back, right? And then there's there is a and the thing about that as players is that players don't have to do a lot of work. I mean, they have to, there's other work they do, right? They've got to go and figure out the traps, and they've got to think about how to do their resource management and how not to die and how to tactically deal with the challenges. I murdered the mysteriously cloaked figure. He looked at me funny. Oh no. But, right, I mean, you don't kill the quest giver. Like, there are these things that you do in that traditional D&D setup, and then every once in a while there will be some hard choices that are presented to you, right? The choices, like, so you delve into the dungeon to save the princess, but then it turns out the princess wasn't kidnapped after all. She ran away because her uncle's the worst. What do you do? What choice do you make? And so, you know, in a more exciting version of this, you give the players choices, but you are still giving the choices to the players. The players are not generating those choices themselves. And so for players, there's a lot of work they don't have to do. And if that is what they're used to playing, if they're used to playing within this mode where there's a story that they follow, and they follow the story, they take some branches, but all the branches are branches that are given to them to choose from, and then you get this really exciting end. Uncles are the worst, says Krellin, and it's true. You know, the prince is having an affair with the dragon. It's super awkward. Rissa says, I would love to stick around, but I off to a massage. Ooh, okay. I'm totally gonna fall off a cliff this time, Rissa. I will see you. I actually am also an Uncle Krellin, so I totally get it. I try not to murder the people, though. But in a sandbox game, I mean, think about this for a moment. Let's think about a sandbox game, like really sandbox, not where you present the choices to the players, but where the players generate their own choice. You give the player an environment. I personally, because this is how I am, when I do sandboxes, I always make sure that there are factions. Well, we'll get there. We won't even do that. So the players are in a location. They're in a place, and it is up to them to decide what they want to do. If the characters have no motivation, they won't do anything, and no one's going to have any fun. If the players maybe have motivation, but they are not used to actually acting on their agency, or they have motivations that are not useful for a sandbox game, which is really easy to do, or they have been trained not to take agency, it is not going to work. It will be a problem. So for example, Tover's motivation was go back home to a normal life. In a sandbox game, that may not be the best motivation because there's nothing stopping him from doing so. Like if he just wants to live a normal life, he could just do that. Boom, right? Normal life. Okay. Right? So then he just goes home. And then so what stops him? PH, what stops him? Let's say you're in a sandbox campaign where you're in a city. What stops Tover from just going home and living a normal life? What is standing in the way? He's being hunted. Well, now there's so then I think then his goal, he has these other goals that are not just let me just go home. It is to yes. So the first goal is to stop the Druid Circle from stealing. Is stop being somehow stop this Druid Circle from hunting him. Right. So that would then give, which means right now. So here's what about. I'm going to come back to that one. What about my goal of systematically converting the entire kingdom to undead? Well, that works because you have to figure out how to do it. Hello, Empress Pookie. Chocolate milk and a fat cat. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. This is actually really interesting because what happens in a sandbox. So in a sandbox game, Tover's going to have to figure out how to do that, right? Like this is the goal. Now I will have to figure out what's going on with this circle of druids, and there'll be some circle of druids coming in with machine guns to shoot at you every once in a while. But PH as a player is going to have to figure out how to get the Druid circle to stop chasing him. And that is something that players are often not confronted with, like the ability to do that. And then also if Pumpkin wants to systematically convert the entire kingdom undead, okay, you're going to have to figure out how to do that. And the idea that you can just do that, that you get to decide what you want to do, that is something that players rarely actually get. And when they actually get that they're often not prepared for it. They're often not prepared for that eventuality because that's not usually the case. Usually there are rails. So druids can't use machine guns. Machine guns are metal. That's fair. That's fair. I want to have a farm and a dozen cats. That's my goal. Now, and I think this is also, by the way, also really important that for the sandbox to work, the GM has to set it up. Like you can't just be like, hey, make a character that has a goal. Okay, here we go. You have to give the players a lot more information. You have to say things like, okay, this is going to be we're going to be set in a major city, let's say Waterdeep, whatever. And this is going to be sort of like a crime game, so I want everybody to make characters who are criminals of some sort. And the idea is that you're all going to be trying to, right? So we're going to kind of be doing, like, you've got to give them some themes. And I had an idea for a super friendly construct whose goal is to kill all humans, but he's not just going around killing people because that won't work. He has a long-term plan. Actually 3D printed machine guns are plastic. I was actually thinking about the film Existence, which is that sort of Cronenberg film, and the freedom fighters or something were able to make a sort of like a machine gun out of a turkey. Like they were in a restaurant and like there was like metal detectors, so they couldn't use metal, but the turkey comes in and inside the turkey there's basically a gun mechanism, but the gun is made out of turkey bones, and then they like pull out their teeth and the teeth are actually like the bullets, and they put the teeth in like it's super disgusting, and they kill people with teeth. Anyway, gun style. But the point being, you need to make sure that people's goals that they make for their character are compatible with the campaign that you're running. And that the goals are compatible, that the goals will work with each other. So you want to have this discussion about goals, right? Like there are players whose goals are like, I don't want to, like my goal is to not work with the party and just go to sleep. And you're like, well, that's not a great goal for a sandbox. Like in Rails, it's a fine goal because I just kidnap you and I make you play with everyone. Like you can be the reluctant hero pretty easily on a Rails game because the GM just Shanghais you. But you have to. But in a sandbox where you actually do need a bit more internal motivation, I find that you need to make sure that everybody's on the same page before you're done with character creation. Your Ottoman's plan is to deny climate change so humans destroy themselves. Now, here's the other thing. druids can't use machine guns is a great example of the kind of hidden rules that in D&D that force a particular game to be played, but that the players and GMs don't realize this real. Yes. And that's the thing, that there's all those. So sandboxes are super doable. You have to be really on top of character creation. Well, actually, one, you have to really be on top of creating the sandbox. My goal is to just nap the entire campaign. Okay, you succeed. Roll a new character so you can keep playing with us. Yes, because here's the thing: in a sandbox game, you don't. I mean, you can't pull. You can't be pulling teeth, right? I mean, in a railroad game, you can pull teeth. You're like, okay, your goal is just a nap. However, you're kidnapped by the Pirate King, and the Pirate King says, if you don't go on this adventure, I will murder you. And then you're like, oh no, I've got to go on the adventure. And then you go on the adventure, right? But I mean, in a sandbox, that is not ideally going to be the case. Now, there are things that work really well as a sandbox, especially for players new to sandboxes. I find I don't find city sandboxes to be as useful when introducing people to sandboxes. Just like here's a city go, like I never do that. Like the here's a city go is not my idea of a successful sandbox in general. It doesn't have enough stuff going on. For me, you know what works really well as an introductory sandbox for players? Oh no, I've got to go on the adventure. That's right, that's what it is. What I find is a really good, what I think works really well as a sandbox, as an introductory sandbox, for players who are new to the concept, would be a traveler merchant campaign, like a free merchant, a free trader campaign. So the players have got a map. They can go anywhere, but also they can't necessarily go anywhere because they can only go as far as their ship can jump. They have a goal as a group, which is they need to make money. So they need to do things that will make them money, and they need to make money in order to buy fuel so they can make it to the next stop and hopefully make profit. So there's a built-in goal in that. There's a built-in, very concrete goal, both short and long-term, for that campaign, which is you have to make money so you can be a successful trading company. And then hopefully each of the players may have some kind of personal goals as well, but they do have, as a group, write these goals. And then when they go to the planet, they've got, like, so they can go to whatever planet they want, and they can try to make money however they want, right? They can maybe decide to be pirates, or they could work in the black market, or they could take these jobs, or, you know, and you give them lots of options, but they get to do what they want to do. But there's enough of a initial structure that they've bought into in the beginning that they don't feel lost. So I find a free trader campaign is really great to introduce people to sandboxes because it has a pretty strong central group motivation that they get to decide how they want to manifest it. So they have, like, you're not putting them on rails in the way where you're like, well, now you have to go and do this thing. They really get a lot of choice and they get to drive things. But if they've never done that before, it becomes clear for them what they want to do. And they also do those trading licenses. So White Wolf games were always more sandboxy than D&D. So people that came into gaming in the 90s, yeah, I think that's actually really true. That's really true, Krellin. That if you came in through White Wolf, you are probably more primed for sandbox because they really sort of... But of course, it wasn't just here's a city, go. It was like here's a city, but there are all these politics that you want to be thinking about, right? So I think that White Wolf did a really good job of sort of setting a sandbox that had things in it that would push you. Pumpkin says, yes, that reminds me of the one campaign where we started out on a mission to defeat some elementals, and then we discovered our portal we couldn't close permanently, so we just built a guild atop it, and then ended up dealing in alcohol, because we had a major brewing halfling village nearby we would transport and provide protection for. Right, so like this is the thing that I think that And I think what's interesting is that as a GM, you have to GM differently in a sandbox than you do on a Rails campaign. With a Rails campaign, your job is to drive them to the next plot point. And depending on how you do your Rails GMing, you might drive them more subtly or less subtly. Like, I mean, if you're really into a Rails GMing, like, I mean, there are different ways of doing it, right? For me, if you're doing Rails, I don't do a lot of Rails, but I do Rails. I mean, I have done modules, right? And those are on Rails. But the trick, right? Like the finesse for being on Rails is to get them on Rails, but not have them realize they're on Rails, not have them feel constricted, right? Give them the drive, push them to the places, but make them feel like it was their idea, make it seem like they have all the agency, but in the end still get them to that big climax where everyone's having the fight on the top of the Zeppelin. Right? Like, you want to, like, the trick for that Rails GM is to make that adventure feel very organic, feel really flexible, but get them to all those high points that they themselves also want. Like, they want the fight on top of the Zeppelin. They want all of those big moments. They want, you know, the driving the sword in the heart of the villain at the end of the portal, you know, but to make it feel like you're not being a dictator, right? So like the trick is to be good enough to camouflage the Rails, and so everyone's having a good time, right? So there's that particular, right, the illusion of choice. That was also the campaign I convinced the same halfling village into deifying a common squirrel. Oh my. Putting a player, if they're on a Zeppelin, they don't realize they're Rails because it's a Zeppelin, right? And but then if you're a sandbox player, you need a sandbox GM. You need different skills, right? As a sandbox GM, I mean, here's the thing: the biggest problem with the sandbox for players who are not used to it is that they don't know what to do. Right? They're like, we're in a city. Well, what do we do? I don't know. If the players say, what do we do? I don't know. As a GM, as a sandbox GM, you have got some work to do, right? Like, that should not be the case on an existential level, that the players have no idea what to do. Because we were talking about earlier in the Discord that sort of happened with people in Dragon Heist, that they're like, now what do we do? So that, what do we do? That is a sign that the sandbox GM has not done their job. That sandbox GM should make sure that before the game even starts, the players have things they want to do before the game starts, that you know. The prep is totally different. The prep is totally different. If I am, right, like, the prep is totally different for a sandbox GM. You need to sort of deal with character creation totally differently to make sure the players have things that they want and need. Go ahead, Espine, ask your question, and I'm sure it's not dumb. And you have to be able to create a world that has obvious things moving. Like, for me personally, I don't think a static sandbox works well at all. I think your sandbox has to have currents that are happening. There has to be things, there have to be problems, right? Like, there have to be problems in this world. Thank you, Krellin. Icepity, ask your question. The sandbox you create has to have instabilities, and it has to have problems. It cannot be stable, right? And I think that is one of the big errors that people will do in a sandbox. How would you do fighting if a 7-year-old is playing too? Well, does the 7-year-old want to fight? Is the question, because maybe the 7-year-old doesn't want to fight. There are RPGs that are made for 7-year-olds. The one that I can think of is called No Thank You Evil, and it is an RPG that is made for like small kids, and it scales up so you can be older as well. But there is a game that is specifically tailored, I think, 5 years old and up, for like 5-year-olds and up. So there are games that are tailored to do it. But what about the TTPG? Oh, that things. Yeah, see, Pumpkin. in my experience, 7-year-old girls want to fight, and 7-year-old girls just don't. But obviously, that varies by child. So, Pumpkin, for me, that rule is not a rule to use in a sandbox. I never use that rule in a sandbox. That is not, like, I think Yeah, no. I mean, no. I think there are places where that kind of happens, but for me, for a sandbox, you need to have things happening when the PCs don't discover them. That is like so important. And I think that becomes really important for a sandbox, to have things happening that the PCs are not involved with. I think that becomes really, really important. I want to play Hero Quest with my brother and his wife, and I think my niece will hang with us. Trope, yes. Trope, not rule. I don't know how Hero Quest deals with 7-year-olds. I don't know how 7-year-olds deal with Hero Quest. All 7-year-olds are a little bit different. 7 is like, what, first or second grade? Dungeon Squad is a good game for kids to play and free. I had planned a campaign about souls. There was a famine in the world where the soulless people were running around. Elves were near extinct. There was an evil cult. There was all kinds of stuff going on. Right. Yeah. You need to have, like, if your sandbox is stable, then it's going to be really hard for the players to do stuff. I think that in order to help them with their motivation, you need to have instability. And what Paladin is describing sounds great, right? Because there are problems in the world, and those problems are present. And it's also, right, and so the players are going to have to sort of think about what they want to do with it. How they deal with it, if they deal with it, is going to be up to them. But, like, you want instability and motion in your sandbox. I think that becomes really important. I think Adam's Faction Turn Madness in Far Verona does a great job for us. Yeah, totally. And I think that becomes really important. You need to have the world doing things. The idea that, and this is actually also, this is a really good point that you're all bringing up, that in a narrative focused game, right, with a sort of, in a Rails game, things don't happen until the players show up. Because she starts in second after, I thought of fighting till the NPC have enough and then run away. Murder, lots of murder. My sandbox prep usually consists of creating plot hooks that tie into each character's backgrounds and interests, and plot hooks that tie the party together. Running the game usually consists of exposing the characters to the plot hooks when the conversation lulls, and running with whatever sticks. I usually like to walk into a session with 3 plot hooks per character and then 3 to 5 for the group. And for me, I personally will also do that's very player focused, which I also do, but I will also then have large scale plots that other people are doing, which the group may or may not be involved with. That I will have instabilities and opportunities, right? So let's say, and I will have other parties, right? Other people doing things. And the thing is, and I think this is really important. This, I think, how do I put this? This is one of the moments where the sandbox will or won't really take off in the players' minds, where the players will really get excited about what a sandbox means. So in a lot of players' experiences, things don't happen until the players show up, right? If there's a murder and somebody's going to find the body, they're going to find the body, or they're going to find a bit, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a way in which the world revolves around them in certain ways, and that causes certain habits of behavior. I like to have things happening. For me, there are a couple of things that I think become really crucial to a sandbox. Yeah, the world is only rendered around them, right? And for me, with a sandbox, there are a couple of things I think become crucial. One is that things are happening when they're not there, and that I will track things that are happening when they're not present. And then they will find out about things. They will find out that they missed things that, no object permanence, exactly. They will find out that because they weren't there, something happened and somebody else did it. Or things got worse because they chose not to be involved, or things resolve themselves, like to give a sense of the world happening. And if they don't do something, they might miss it. That becomes really important. I think that there's a habit that people will often get into, like, oh, well, we can get around to it because no object permanence. I've run D&D games like video games before. Which way does the door open? It opens out. All the doors open out. Our animators didn't animate doors opening in. Yes. But I think also the idea that for the sandbox to really work, you need to sort of build in a sense of lost opportunity, right? That if they don't do something, something else will happen while they're not doing it. And then there are a lot of things to do, and things are like, she's going to kill those robo chickens, or that you can't just do all of the things. I think that becomes really important in a sandbox, that you've got to make some choice about what things you want to do, what things you don't, and the things you don't do, you may not be able to do them. They may be lost, or they may get worse, or they may get better. Do you change detailed things like market prices from events outside of notice? Yes, I do, especially if I think it's important, right? Like if there's some shenanigans happening over on the east, and all of a sudden, like, because it becomes a moment where the players are like, wait a minute, why all of a sudden are the prices for food really expensive? What is that about? Like, it becomes a moment where the players start thinking about the game differently, right? Because things now mean something, right? So then if all of a sudden all of the like the basic farming crops are really expensive in the city, they might want to look into that, right? And then maybe they find out that there's something going on and they decide to do something about it, or they don't. Maybe they decide to become thieves and start robbing food and then selling them for outrageous prices. I don't know what they're going to do. And that's the point, is that as a GM, right? No, not too real. It is what it is, right? Because we started as trade war, and those things become these opportunities for players. And when they realize that I don't want them to do a specific thing, right? And I think that is really hard for players that are used to D&D or very railroady kind of games, is that they think the skill set that they've developed is trying to figure out what the GM wants them to do and then doing it in advance, right? That becomes a skill set. Oh, the GM wants me to talk to this guy in the inn, so I will talk to the guy in the inn. Oh, the GM wants me to save the princess, so I'm going to save the princess, right? So that there's a particular way in which players are taught to anticipate what the GM's plot is and then go along with it. And then in a sandbox, that's not like, as a GM, I don't have a plot in that way. They don't need to get on the boat. They can do whatever they want to do, right? And players realizing and internalizing that they don't have to get on the boat if they don't want to. They don't have to take that mission if they don't want to. And they don't have to do the mission in the way that they might be supposed to do. They can do it however they want. Like, that is the thing you really have to get players to internalize, and that is hard for people who've never done sandboxes. Yeah, and like, they have to know that these things are just... And then the other thing that I think is really important for sandboxes is follow-up. I think that the follow-through is one of the things that really also makes a sandbox. So the players do some stuff, and then they move on. But as a GM, I always track what the echoes and the waves of their behavior is, and then let that come back. Players do latch onto the oddest things. Oh, I love a good sandbox. So like, I was running a cyberpunk campaign that was sandboxy with players who were not used to sandboxes, but they were getting into it. And they did a thing, right, where they screwed over a weapons dealer, is kind of a thing that they did. But they were also they were smart enough to cover their tracks, so the weapons dealer didn't know that they were the ones who did it. They kind of pointed some other direction. And in a lot of games, that's sort of the end of it, right? You screw over a bad guy, but you cover your tracks really well, and so now there are no consequences for you, so you just move on to the next thing. But that's not how the world works, right? In the world, I have to think, okay, so what happened? The players screwed over this really dangerous weapons dealer, sort of black market weapons dealer. They were able to cover their tracks, but the weapons dealer got screwed over, and the weapons dealer knows that someone screwed them over, doesn't know, and I think doesn't know who it is. That was the original. So the weapons dealer is now on the search to find out who screwed them over. So this comes back again, and the weapons dealer ends up contacting the PCs to get help to figure out who screwed them over, because of the way in which the PCs had sort of orchestrated it. The weapons dealer thought that the PCs were sort of friendly. So the weapons dealer is like, okay, Queen Bee, so she's like, okay, somebody screwed me over. You're Shadowrunners. I want you to find out who did it. So now they're in this really awkward position where they've got to find someone to take the fall for their own behavior or do something else, right? And so they ended up screwing somebody over, getting somebody killed, and then they had to deal with that. And so I think it's about this way in which you don't let you always follow up, and sometimes the follow-up is really positive because somebody they helped, a month ago has come back to help them, and they didn't realize that would be a thing. But you really want to let them see that the world responds to their behavior, that they because if they realize totes random, but Mrs. Evie just came back from the store, and I have oh good, I am glad. And I think this is the most important thing when a GM can fail with a sandbox, is that sandboxes, in my opinion, work best when the world is living, when it is a living world. And the reason why it needs to be a living world is because the players need to realize that in a living world, they can do lots of things, but then there will also be consequences, positive as well as negative, which means they can decide to maybe take advantage of that trade war if they want to, if that's part of their motivation. They can maybe try to diffuse the trade war if that's better for them, and that will then mean something, that maybe they can destabilize governments, maybe they can take over something, that they actually have the ability that they will, what they do does matter. And I think that for and the weapons dealer, right? Yeah, the weapons dealer has to raise prices. So then all of a sudden there's a consequence for those actions, because now all of those prices are higher, or will stop selling certain things until they can find out who did it. So all of a sudden now they're kind of, oh no, right? And I think that in a way, the biggest hindrance to the sandbox is the idea that players have internalized that their actions don't really matter, right? Because in a really big narrative world, your actions don't really matter. They matter insofar as they take you along the story, but they don't really matter, right? You're not gonna destabilize the kingdom unless that's part of the story. All these other things that are not part of that story are not really going to be happening so much in a very heavily narratively structured game, because that's not what the narrative is about, right? All those things, all those other things are distractions, and players have gotten really good at learning that they probably shouldn't be distracting, and so following more or less along that path. And in the sandbox, those things are not distractions, they are also the story. And so you have to really get players to understand that the line, that there's no line anymore between distraction and story. They get to decide what the story is, and that is hard for players sometimes. And yeah, right? And I think that it's hard. I think it's hard for players to internalize that new way of thinking about what story is. Do I use a system for tracking for my factions? I don't use a system like faction, I don't systematize it in the way that some of the Apocalypse world does. I just know what's happening in the world. I just keep track of what's happening. For me, it's always, I always think, okay, what is the state of the world, right? What I do is, before the game starts, I know what the state of the world is, and then we play the session, and then I take notes about everything the players do that might impact things outside of them. And then when the session is done, before the next session, I sit and I think, okay, what have the players done? How will that impact? Who knows about what the players have done? How will that impact the world around them? And then I move. I'm like, okay, so they did this, so this means this will happen, this means this will happen, this will mean this happen. Okay, I know people that they have not interacted with. They've not interacted with the Archduchess. She's working on this right now. So how much time has passed? It's been a week. We went through 1 week in this last session. What would all the other people be doing in that week? So then I work through what they've all done in the week, and then I think, in what ways might what they have done have an impact on the world that the players might notice? Okay, let me sort of make notes of all of that, and then when I start the next session, I now know what things have happened in the interim that they might be able to see, how how they have impacted the world, and how they might be able to notice that. And I basically sort of acquaint myself with the starting space for session 2. They do session 2, they interact with things they interact with, and then I take notes again, and then at the end of the session, so basically I get to, rumors. With some games, if it's a modern game, I might have a newspaper that will have stories in it that will indicate the ways in which they've mattered. in other places there might be rumors or town criers. So like some kind of a way where there's a feedback loop where they can see where some of these impacts have happened. But for me, when I'm running a sandbox, there are like two games. There's the game that I'm playing with the players, and then there's the game after the players between sessions where I figure out what happens in response, which is a really fun game for me. I love it. Rumors and scandals. I think it's amusing when a tale from the party's early adventures show up at a bard's performance or something, then later on. And maybe, yes, I love that too. Oh, Krellin, I'm sorry. You're right. Modern for the newspaper. Yeah. Because now it would just be Twitter trends on the internet. Yes, Krellin caught me for being old. This is fair. So, I mean, for me, there's like, with a really good sandbox, there are two games. There's the game that happens when all the players are on screen, and then there's the game that happens off screen in between sessions where I'm trying to figure out like, oh no, well, knowing what I know about the world and knowing what the players have done, how would this impact the world? And so like for me, I just love, right, that particular, oh, I love it when the bards get things wrong. That's the best. Or when people like talk rumors about them and like, you're like, what is that? Oh, I love it. And I will tell you, one of the reasons why I actually love, well, that's true. We are postmodern, I suppose. That's true. Trooper old is just a number in a passport. In my D&D campaign world, we had an old retired PC become a comic artist who told the stories of the non-retired PCs. Oh, that's really awesome. I love that. One of the things that makes me a sandbox GM is that I love that second game, right? Like I love figuring out how the world is going to react to the players' involvement and how the different factions are going to be moving along in space. Like now, some people will be like that. Well, some people will find that overwhelming. Some people might think that's too much work, but for me, it's very improv-y, so I'm not like super stressed about it, but I love it. Like I really enjoy thinking, oh, okay, so maybe now the Black Marketeer has to raise prices. Oh, that would make sense. Oh, now the secretary of the Black Marketeer who's dating one of the PCs, what happens when she says this? Like, would she say this? Or, oh, she's in love with the PC, so she's gonna protect the party without the party knowing it. So that means she's going to do this and this. Okay, so she's going to start erasing files to protect the PCs. So that's why they're not getting caught. Okay. And then when sometime later the PC dumps that secretary in a terrible way, I'm like, oh, well, okay, now what is that going to mean? Like, I love that part of the game. For me, that is just super fun. And it's one of the reasons why I love sandbox games, because I love that part of the game. Bard multi-classes into getting a companion or familiar, which they send out into the world to collect stories, but it gives the stories a weird feel when smell emphasizing animals tell a story. Oh yeah, take call from a magical secret. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were here for... Oh no, we're totally gonna play Horizon Zero Dawn. We're on our way there. Like we are on our way there, my friend. We are playing Horizon Zero Dawn. It is gonna happen. But again, right, not all GMs like that. Like not all GMs like that particular second game. And then for them, sandboxing will probably be more difficult. That's all. So I think one, you have to have a GM who actually likes sandboxing and sort of understand what that means. Two, you have to have players who actually like taking responsibility for the story and not just receiving the story passively or quasi-passively. And that's also a thing that's not particularly like you have to do it because, yeah, I love a living world, but not everybody wants to do it. Because we're done talking about sandboxes, you need to talk about more Hairspray, X-Men, and Fishman. Actually, I have something else that I want to show you. Nearly tricked you in a bit. Oh, of course nerding out is fun. I wouldn't do it if it weren't fun. But I do have a show and tell. So, as you may or may not know, I do Kickstart things. I Kickstart games. It is a thing. There are a number of Kickstarter things on the shelf behind me. Yeah, proactive players and characters are essential to sandbox. Like, and the thing is, I believe that many more players will enjoy the proactive style than currently do. It's just that they've never done it, right? Like, and if you don't introduce them to that proactive style well, then they won't like it. You have to sort of bring them into it and show them the magic of possibility, as opposed to overwhelm them with just like randomness. And I have brought people into enjoying sandbox, but you have to be very deliberate about it. And you have to recognize that it is a skill set. And like Krellin points out that a lot of players have been actively punished for being proactive in that way, right? They're getting punished for distracting from the story. And so you have to undo maybe years worth of negative reinforcement to get them to embrace active participation. So, it has to be very deliberate. You have to find players who like it, or if they don't know if they'd like it or not, you have to actually teach them that it is okay for their characters to be proactive, which they often don't realize they can do, because they have been discouraged. So it's like a process of getting people into enjoying a living world sandbox. Oh yeah, Everyone John is a good introduction. That's a good one. And there are some games that are just much better at it than others. And sometimes, going back to something I think somebody else was saying earlier, sometimes while I have run multiple sandboxy D&D games, and I think it was Barantor who was saying this, and D&D is totally capable of doing sandboxes. Because of its history of running modules, and with the advent of like large-scale adventure paths coming out of Paizo, where it's going to take you from 1 to 20, players in those games have often internalized that is not how they're supposed to behave. And so sometimes just bringing them into a different system, like Everyone is John, can open them up. Like, I was playing in a D&D group. They would not sandbox. No matter what you did. They just would not sandbox. And so I was like, okay, everyone, it took me a couple of years to convince them to play something else other than D&D. But then Ice Buddy, we're not done with this. But once I convinced them to play something other than D&D, and it was GURPS Traveler, they just opened up to sandbox and like heavy RP, it took a little bit of time, but not much, and it just was like getting out of the game system where they had all those ingrained patterns and habits, allowed them to just open up to different styles of play. So yeah, that was the group where I played the Thief. It was a very good group, and once we got them out of D&D, they really just, their RP went up. They actually started appreciating sandbox. They got a lot more proactive. They just needed to and then when they went back to D&D, their D&D was different. But it took them getting out of D&D first before they could sort of develop new habits, which they then brought back into D&D with them. So that was very exciting. But as I was saying, I kickstarted a lot of things, and I just got in the mail 2 things that I kickstarted. I actually got 3 things, but I'm not showing you the third one yet because it is a huge... I have 2 other things over there in the other room that I have not unpacked because they're really huge boxes, and I need to fix my shelves, and I am going to wait a little bit. But 2 things that I kickstarted. One, I just got the Princess Bride role-playing game by Stephen O'Sullivan, who was a GURPS writer, and he was the person who created Fudge. And Fudge is the system that Fate is based off of. Like, Fate is basically a version of Fudge. Right, the dice are Fudge dice after all. And so this is Fudge, and it's Princess Bride. And I did not go for like the huge, massive deluxe version, but I got it. So for example, it says right here on page 143, "Attention, dear reader. If you want to be a player rather than a GM, you should stop reading this book now. Continuing to read may lessen your enjoyment of this book. Well, you could read this chapter, I suppose. and perhaps the next. But definitely do not read any of the adventures in chapters 15 or 16. And there's just like, there's just like, so that's exciting, right? That I will answer your question, Pumpkin, in a moment. And then the second thing that I just got, which I'm also really excited about, this, is Over the Edge, the new edition. Yeah. It is a thing. And this is by Jonathan Tweet and Chris Lights. And Jonathan Tweet did Ars Magica, Everway. He worked in Dungeons & Dragons 3rd Edition, 13th Age. And this game has, the original version of it has one of the best rules light systems. It's really early. It's a really early game. It's before the indie craze happened, going for sort of narrative rules light stuff. But that particular rules light system, so good. And this is a new edition of the game. And it has a new system, mainly because he didn't want to just use the old system. He wanted to give us something new that we could use. And it is very Edgar Rice Burroughs? No. It's very Naked Lunch, right? And it's set in this weird city. It says, "Your plane has just begun its descent. The ultimate democratic republic of Alamarja welcomes you. On our island, liberty is job one. Disarmament means peace. It's polite to speak English, and paranormal activity is perfectly legal. The Edge, the weirdest city in the world. Get into trouble? Transcend mortal limits? Join a cult? Find out who really controls humanity? Fight a baboon. Thanks for your consent." And it's this super weird setting, but I always loved the rule set. I thought the rule set was really good. And so now, new book, new edition. I'm so excited. I hope I get to run it one day or play it. Like, that would be really nice. I would love that. So those are the two things I wanted to share. I have two more things out in the back that I will show and tell probably on Thursday. I'll show and tell one of them on Thursday. The other one I'll probably show and tell later. But I'm really excited about them. So that's it. How is my wrist doing? Asks Pumpkin. So, Pumpkin, I'm going to answer this question for you. I was given heavy-duty painkillers, which I did not like, to take for 2 weeks, and this wrist brace to wear for 2 weeks, and it has been 2 weeks. And the 2 weeks are over, and my wrist is not 100% perfect, which is irritating. I can extend my fingers without a lot of pain. It's a little bit of pain when I extend my fingers, but it's not a lot. I cannot, however, move my wrist back. And anytime I make a flicking motion like that, it hurts. And moving my wrist back also hurts. So it's not where it needs to be. Like, it's better. It's better, but it isn't okay. And so I'm going to the doctor on Tuesday. Again, I don't know what they're going to do. They might do the cortisone injections. I don't know what they're going to do. But I would like to be able to put weight on my wrist, and I'd like to be able to push things with my wrist without it being bad. That's it. Also, baboons are super dangerous, and I'm afraid of them. My mind broke for a second. I'm writing on Over the Edge is backwards. The writing on and the writing on the bookshelf is correct. Oh, yes. No, this is correct. The writing on Over the Edge is backwards. It is not, that is not you. It is actually backwards. So, right, it is, right? It's, right, because they're the names. Whoop, whoop, not backwards. Totally backwards. Not backwards. Backwards. Wrists are super useful, especially if you want to fight a baboon, which I don't know if I do, because baboons are super dangerous. But that's all I'm saying. But we're going to, right now, because it is that time, we're going to play some Horizon Zero Dawn. I want to find out what Project Zero Dawn is. I mean, like, don't you? We're going to do it. We're going to do a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. You know what I really need to do? When I put these videos up on YouTube, I need to sort of say when we actually start playing the game so that people can just skip to it if they want to. Also, I think opening up containers with my right hand is kind of hard. If they're like sticky. I think it'll take us no more than 3 more sessions before we're done with Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. I think we're going to be done in June. This is my thought. I believe it. That is my belief. It may not be true, but I think it's true. We only have 3 more people to talk to. I think we can get it done. Maximum 3 sessions, maybe 2, depending on how much nerding out we do before we start playing the game. But yeah, I'm really excited about Over the Edge. There's secrets. Look here, it says bloodshed, paradox, good twist, mutation, help, profound, post-humanity, secret, mind expansion, inhumanity, oppress, tawdry, alien, immortality edited, centipedes. Like, I mean, who doesn't want that in a game, in an RPG game? That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm gonna put this away. Project Zero Dawn. Oh my gosh. No. Ice Bunny, we're totally gonna be done in June with Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. And then we'll put the sequel, Where the Water Tastes Like Coors Light, with PH, yes. Project Zero Dawn was a project by the government to develop a good sandbox game, which it should. So here we are. I think we actually have, I believe we have a quest we need to do. I think, what is this? Hammer and Steel, we have to talk to Petra? Yes, okay. We need to find some missing people. This is what we need to do. What is this quest? 2 hunters from the Free Heap have gone astray tracking a behemoth convoy. Aloy is asked to find the hunters and their prey. Right. Okay. That's fine. Coors is a beer. It's an American beer, which means it's very close to water. I don't drink beer, but my understanding is that it is very close to water. Yes. So we just need to do this errand. I have 4 skill points, but I don't know what to spend them on. I don't know if I should have a quiet sprint or a strong strike. I do enjoy... So... what is this? Combat override. You know what? I'm gonna just do more... I go to open a package from the mail and I come back and play. I don't know. I don't even know. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just have more concentration. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn that skill. I'm just having more concentration. I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's what we're doing. So why don't we just, let's go. I don't have a mount because I'm sad. We're heading out. How do we get out of here? Where am I? This way. Krellin, by the way, I don't know if people know this, but Krellin is awesome. So we're gonna just, we're going this way. We are going to find whatever this thing is we need to find, and it'll be fine. Wherever we're headed. I don't know. But I was saying, so next session, Thursday? Oh, hey, medicine. Thursday, I'm going to show you so all of the shadows of... Oh, thanks. all the Shadows of Estrin books that I kickstarted came through in the mail the other day, and I want to show you all. I want to show them to you. Oh no! Krellin, what did you buy? Do you have like new pants? Do you have like what do you have? What are the new clothes? I'm excited to know, because I don't think I told you this. Did I tell you this? I didn't tell you this. I bought new clothes in the mail. I do have to go to the tailor to get them tailored, but I bought some Victorian era clothes because I am GMing Clockwork Dominion and I wanted to look good while doing so. So I have, where am I headed? This way. 6 shirts and a package of underwear. Yeah. Oh, hi. What are they doing? I approve of new underwear and also new shirts. I approve of all of those things. Should I be worried about those robots hanging out? I feel like I should. What kind of shirts? So let me save here for a moment. Yeah, so I just got I got an outfit, sort of a Victorian outfit, so that I can wear it when I'm GMing. And
got one.
I just need to get it tailored, but I don't want to get it tailored until I get closer to Gen Con. Ooh. Just plain t-shirts with pockets. Oh. I need to head more... Never eat shredded wheat. West. I need to head more west. I need to head this way. Even though there are flying creatures in my face that I don't even want to deal with. So, I'm going to be wearing old-timey Victorian clothing when I GM. Ah. This is what I'm looking for. Everyone, this is what I want. Let me just get over here and make sure nobody's peeping on me. Let me sneak over here a little bit and let me just get a new mount. That's what I'm gonna do. I do have a top hat. I have a great top hat. I don't like Never Eat Shredded Wheat because I sometimes like, oh. Oops. There we go. Not tailored until Max. Evie, what you are saying is not, you are not incorrect. Gen Con is in August, right? It's the end of August. And I plan on, as long as this works out for me, getting back to working out. And I plan on like getting a good workout through June and July. And if I get good workouts, I'm hoping that in the 2 months, I will lose a little bit of weight. Like, I don't need to lose a lot of weight. I need to lose some weight. And, you know, just like lose a little bit of weight and then get this stuff tailored. Because I want to find out what my body looks like when Gen Con comes around. Because it might look different than it does right now. It may not, but it might. So, you know, I want the options. I also like shredded wheat. So I'm going to wait until after. But here's the thing, everybody. Right now, this wrist makes it very difficult for me to do workouts. Like I can walk. Oh yeah, eat, well, veggies and fruit, sure, but it's about vitamins. Not vitamins, pardon me, water. I have to drink a lot of water. Like that's important. Water. I have to eat more food more regularly at more regular intervals and eat less crappy food. If I want to put on muscle, I need to have more calories, you know. So it's just that kind of stuff. And I do plan on going grocery shopping really soon. I don't have a sword cane, but I do have a top hat. which I'm really excited about. See, hold on. Wait. Where's my hat? So this is my top hat, and well, I mean, the thing is, there are things that taste nice that aren't crappy, and so I just have to eat those things, you know. That's fine. And no, game is not over. I just had to get my top hat. So I have a top hat and also a bowler, but I think I'm gonna wear this one because I think it just looks so good, and I love how it looks on me. I am super excited about this hat. I mean, I love this hat. I just want to wear it all the time. Is that... No, I'm not gonna eat kale. I'm not gonna eat kale. That's not gonna happen. What do you think? Right? Do you love it? Do you think I can get away with wearing this? I haven't taken the tag off, so you can just ignore that. There. Do you think that, but like, look at that. Like, it's a great hat. Do you think I can just get away with wearing this hat every day? Because I feel like I can. I've been wearing my right? I really like it. I think it's really good. And it's like, it's a great hat. Like, it's a top hat, but it's not too tall, so it doesn't look super outrageous. But I think it's swift, and I think I should just be able to wear it, like, out and about every day in my normal life, because I really love this hat. Like, this hat makes me... it's a John Bull. Yeah, it's a carriage hat. Yeah, so, right? I love this. I think it's so great. And... have I shown you all of my... because I have 4 hats. I have 4 new hats. Have I shown them to you? Hold on. I'm going to show you all my hats. No, it is not the collapsible kind. Those look different. And those are usually silk, and they're usually taller. But this one... right? This is what I'm saying. Sorry, I didn't shave today, so I'm a little bit scruffy. Sorry. But I love this hat. I think it's so good. And, oh... like, I just want to wear this hat all the time. So wait. Sorry. Hold on a second. I'm going to show you my other hats. No. Game is not over. It's not going to take me that long to show you hats. It's not going to take me that long just to show you hats. So here's the thing. I have 2 summer hats. This one got injured in the move, so it's not... it's okay, but it's, it got injured in the move. But this is... where am I at?
I just gotta tough the storm out.
Yeah, the crown got a little bit injured, but there you go, right? So this is one of my summer hats, which is it's a very nice summer hat. And then this is my other summer hat, which is still doing pretty well, right? So 2 nice little, right? It's nice summer hats for when you want to wear a hat because you don't want to get a sunburn on your head, but it is also hot out. And a good wool hat will make your head sweat like whoa. So none of that. And then I know. So then I've got this really nice pork pie hat, which I really love. Like, I think this hat is great. And this hat also goes with my shirt. Like, I love this hat. It's like my new favorite casual hat. Love it. I think it's great. Also goes with the shirt. Yes, I want a really good straw boater though, because that would be super retro. And this is a really nice full brim fedora, which I also really like. But both the pork pie and this fedora are hot. So like it's getting summer, so I probably will not be wearing these as much because it's hot. And then I have one more. The carriage hat was one of my vintage hats, and this is another vintage hat that I just got. So this is my derby, my bowler, and so there. But I like a good. There we go. Wow. Those are my hats. Bowler hat. I wanted a bowler because I love Mr. Steed from the Avengers, and I'm either going to wear the bowler or the carriage hat when I GM Clockwork Dominion, but probably the carriage hat. I'll have to go through the adventure and really decide. But I'm just saying. So that's my current hat collection, but I think the problem is I think I need to buy some hat boxes so that they don't get injured when I move. Because I don't want my hats to get injured. We are hat faces. Right, so yeah, I do not currently have any hat boxes, and that I think is a bit of a problem. But I will fix it. Oh, yeah, by the way, if any of you are going to Gen Con and you want to play in one of my adventures, please do, because I would love that. That would be so fun for me. I would be so excited. What is happening over here? I would be really excited.
You had us wandering for hours. That's because I couldn't concentrate on hammering on.
Okay.
You kept asking me questions. When did I start smithing? Had I ever seen the elevator at Meridian? If Caleb had been here, we'd have found the herd. I would have taken it down and we'd be halfway back to freedom.
Who are you?
You want to go back? Fine. I
Oh,
don't know why I'm here. I don't eat. Someone's coming.
hello? Hi, you arguing people. What's going on?
Are you Jagrees and Balaja? Caleb sent me to look for you.
He did? Now Petra must know we lost the herd.
No.
No, I lost it.
I don't care who lost it. Just, why don't I track it down for you?
I couldn't let you do that. It was my responsibility, not yours or his.
We saw 3 behemoths and some shell walkers in the herd. It won't be easy alone.
No, it's fine. Can America and Sweden change place for a Gen Con so I can come? Ice Bunny, you're not in Sweden, though. You're not in Sweden. You're not in Sweden. I'm going to be hunting alone.
I can sneak up on the herd better without conversation.
Arguing, you mean? I'll go with you alone. Jagrees can ask his incessant questions.
Nope.
To the wind.
Why did you even agree to the trade if you can't stand a minute of my presence? If you weren't...
Enough! Jagrees, Balaja asked you to switch with Caleb so she could spend time with you.
What?
And if I heard right, Jagrees led you off course so he could spend more time talking with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Now you talk it out while I get those behemoth cables. Where did you last see the herd?
Oh, up on that ridge. And take some arrows with you.
Thanks.
I'll be fine. You too. Yeah, but why would you want to switch with Sweden when you could just switch with Denmark, which is, right? I mean, I don't even understand. So I'm looking for some tracks. I mean, you could just switch your hometown with, I'm just saying, you could switch Denmark with America. Now, but I don't know if you really want to switch Denmark with America. Because I imagine there are things about America you would not like. There might be some things about America that you then also would like. But I'm just saying. Also, I feel like if you switch them, there'd be like geographic shenanigans.
When I was a kid.
This looks like what we're going for. So here's my thought. Right? My thought is... Trampler? Is this not what we need? Aren't I just... Wait. Ugh, I don't think I'm there yet. Don't worry, I'll make it. The candy. Most Europeans think that their sweets are way better than US sweets. I mean, I like... Where? Oh. I will follow the track. Look at those big beasts over there. All right, but we're going to follow these tracks. Where are you headed? It's funny because most of the Europeans I know think that European candies are better than US candies, although I like US candies a lot. I think our candies are excellent.
So the last saw the convoy here, huh?
I suppose that is not the convoy. That's just a bunch of big beasts. US sweets are sweeter than EU sweets. That is probably true. Ah. Hello.
Where were they going?
I don't know where they were going. Let's find out. You like Baby Ruth. Now, I like, the thing is, I like sweets, so I like both. I like American cake and American pie. I also like EU cakes, which are delicious. And also the idea that, and I will just note for the... Why did I
hear them now.
So I need a bunch of behemoth cables. Where are they? So, I mean, the thing is, there are some things that are from the EU that are definitely sweeter than the, or as sweet as US-based things. I mean, I will note that. So, where are they? Oh, I see. I see. Come here, Mount. So, like, our Danish pastry house, which is we have a Danish pastry house, and they have sweets. And there are certain things that are not as sweet, I suppose, as some American things, like, oh, that's not what I want. Excuse me for one moment. I want to just kill this, ooh, this is hard to utilize. I may die a whole bunch of times, everybody, because it's a little bit hard to use this controller with a brace on, but it's fine. Hey, Cyclonus, how are you? Oh, so what I was saying that I think is sweeter is in the Danish pastry house we have this Sachertorte, which actually I think is not Danish. I think it's originally Austrian, and it is a cake. It's a chocolate cake. Oh, I am good. This is where we're headed, by the way, everyone. I see it. It's a chocolate cake. Yeah, Brace just adds to the challenge. It's a chocolate cake, a very, very, very rich chocolate cake. It's a chocolate cake with like an apricot, sort of inside. And it has got marzipan, like a chocolate marzipan icing. Yeah, and it is very, very, and it's got like some kind of like a mousse in the middle, and then also like an apricot. It is very sweet. I also like it. I am going to see if I can. Oh, wrong one. That's not what I wanted. Excuse me for a moment. I need to run away and draw my mount farther away because I do not want my mount getting into this fight. You should come over here, and you should not be over there with all of them, because that is not what I want. Thank you. Yeah, it's... No, don't... Mount, stop following me. I realize that you are a wonderful, wonderful mount, and you're really exciting, and you want to hang out with me, but I want you to stop that.
Whoa there.
There. Okay. Oh, marzipan is an almond paste with a lot of sugar. It's an almond paste with a lot of sugar that they put like food coloring and other flavors in. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is see. Oh, it's kind of dark now. Okay, so... Oh, I need to hide. Sorry. But I'm going to try to get this one to come over to visit me. This big behemoth. And then I'm going to see if I can override it. Hi. And then I'm going to see if it'll just fight all my friends. Oh, Rosewater. Oh. Rosewater. Huh. Okay, they're gonna get into a fight. And I'm really glad that they're gonna get into a fight, and I'm gonna just kinda hang out here while that happens. Like, I'm just gonna let that happen. Wow. And while that's happening, I'm gonna chat with you. Yeah, so like that's pretty sweet. Where the water tastes like what is such an amazing soundtrack. Oh, it makes me want to play in a Firefly campaign. Do you that's a good question about the rose marzipan. I imagine you must be able to, but I'm not certain. Like, I'm not certain. Like, whenever I've gotten marzipan in the US, it has always been, like, at this Danish pastry house, or picking up Rittersport. They have, like, a marzipan Rittersport. So maybe? I don't know. Ooh. Fight better, everybody. What are these things, there's a lot of fighting going on over there. I think I'll just, I'm gonna just, hit one of these a little bit. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to kill some of these machines, and I think it'll be great when I do, because then I'll get kill points for them. I don't know if you get kill points if, oops. I don't know if you get kill points if your friend does it. Well, I mean, I had the goal of a lot of fighting, but my goal was also to have other people do the fighting. You know. Oops. Not my friend anymore. Hold on a second. I need to take this brace off because it is, you know, it's funny because the Xbox controller I can use a brace with pretty easily, but this one, the way it's set up, it's not good. That said, all right, good. I killed all the things. Not in a bad way, in a positive way. So now we're gonna just chat while I gather materials. So anyway, Also, there's really good chocolate in Europe that I really like.
No space.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fighting was my goal, I suppose. But lint. Okay, so I apparently have the cables, but I don't have... Yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff here that I feel like I should pick up. Inventory. We're gonna do that inventory management thing that I do, where I have too much inventory. Let's disassemble this, and I have to disassemble things because that is sort of my life, but it's also fine. I like European chocolate, but there's also good American chocolate. There's also bad American chocolate, but there's good American chocolate. I think that basically what I want to say is Europe has got great stuff. This is true. But I think I tend to find that people tend to say that American stuff is crappy. They overemphasize the crappiness of American stuff. Like they're like, oh, like I hear this all the time, like Americans have no good bread. And I was like, okay, so here's what I will say. Americans tend to judge Europe on its best stuff, and Europeans tend to judge America on its worst stuff, right? So the thing I hear is like, America has no good bread, and like all American bread is judged as if it were Wonder Bread, but not all American bread is Wonder Bread. We also have, you know, just lots. We have a lot of different kinds of bread, including micro breads and Belgian chocolates. We had a neighbor who owned a candy shop, so always, yeah, Wonder Bread is gross, but not all American bread is Wonder Bread. We have things other than Wonder Bread, and so I think that it's yeah, and also, just for the record, Europeans also have bad bread. You can go into like an Aldi or like a grocery store and also get really bad bread. That is also possible. It's not like Europeans only have good bread. There's also, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, that there's also, you can also get bad things there as well. Let me search this one. So and in the same way that people say, oh, American chocolate's so bad, but they only judge us then by things that are questionably chocolate that may not even be chocolate, when we also have really good chocolate. And also there's also bad European chocolate that's also cheap and crappy. So that is my only point. My point is that we import the best. You know, I'm saying I have gotten some super bad bread in Europe that was super, and of course by bad, what I mean is that it was cheap. And if you don't have money, you can afford, hey, these things went a long way, didn't they? These parts and pieces went a long way.
Definitely awake now.
But you can get Schwarzbrot in the US. This is the thing, like most of the things that you can get in Europe, you can also get in the US. I mean, like, there's some things you can't. But the United States is this huge, massive country that is very diverse and has a lot of Europeans in it. And so, you know, you can get most things that you can get in Europe. Maybe not everything, but, like, you can get most things that you can get in Europe, you can also get in the US. And also the US, like, people say, oh, American beer is just so bad. And I'm like, well, nothing is everywhere. I mean, it's like a huge country. Like, we're an entire continent wide. Like, we are a very large country. Let me, what is this? I need to do sparkers? What are we looking at? I need to get rid of... Beer is bad in general. But it depends on where you live, right? Like, and the thing is, and I will say this, that the idea that you can get good things everywhere, there are some really remote places. Yeah, US is the size of Europe, right? This is what I mean. Like, sure, there is some bad American beer. That is true. But there's also good American beer. And what was I was looking at that I had too many sparkers? What is this? Echo shells. What is that? That's a blaze canister. What are these? Sparkers. Okay. I'm going to disassemble 5 of those. Perfect. Take it. My inventory should not be full. Oh, I see what happened. Our culture diversity is fading in the US, though. Hey, Levi, how are you doing? But wise frogs around. I need to... Where was it? I think that I did a thing that I didn't want to do. I think what I wanted to do was disassemble like 10 of these. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, so there's just a lot of stuff here because there was a huge battle. So, you know, yeah. So I just think that there's a, and it's like when I was living in because I lived in Europe for 5 years, and one of the things that I thought was always, I live in a town of 50K. Somehow we have an excellent local brewery. Yeah, and the thing is, I noticed this habit, right, of Europeans judging America by its worst stuff and Americans judging Europe by its best stuff. And I think you can see this with...
I'd have to leave something else behind.
Media is like a really good example of this. Luminous Braid and Sparker. Inventory. Resources. Let me disassemble one. So, for example, in the and I will note that it's a little bit different now because we have Netflix and the internet. Oh, I don't think it's just Adorno. Europeans love to talk trash about Americans all the time. Like it's practically a national holiday. Sparker. But so, for example, when I was in, now I was saying it's a little bit different now because of the internet, but and well, Netflix and things like that. But when I was in Europe, what things did Europe import from the United States in terms of media? I was in Germany. Baywatch, big action films, our soap operas. Like basically, we have good things, like we make good television and we make good films, but those were not the films that Europe was interested in importing. They were interested in importing our kind of trashiest stuff, which allowed them then to make fun of the United States. They got it. They all watched it. It's like they would they'd eat lots of McDonald's and then say, why do you have nothing but McDonald's? And I was like, we have more stuff than just McDonald's, but you're only interested in eating our McDonald's and then making fun of us for it. I'm saying that like Baywatch is not our prestige television, do you know? And the thing is, we do have prestige television. It's just that's not what the Europeans were interested in watching. Whereas in Europe, in the United States, when we import media, European media, it's always like high art, masterpiece theater, super arty, Oscar level stuff. So then we can always imagine, but Wendy's and Taco Bell are American. So you can eat the Wendy's and Taco Bell and then say, oh, look how bad America is. My British friends say that all the time. And I was like, we do have good restaurants in the United States. Like, we do. It is a thing. There are good restaurants in the US. I don't think I spoke to this merchant. I'm going to just speak to this merchant in case I didn't. And then I'm going to find my mount, and then we're going to finish this quest. And so the thing is, in Germany, they have crappy TV. Also in England, they have crappy TV. Like, there's crappy TV everywhere. Also, people didn't like Wendy's and Taco Bell. Those restaurants wouldn't do well. In if you want to have a trash party in Denmark, you make it German thing. But that's just nationalism, Ice Bunny. Like, Denmark is also trash. Everybody is trash. There's trash everywhere in the world. Nobody is... nobody doesn't have trash, is what I want to say. And it's just that it's really easy to project trashness on other people and not have to deal with it yourself. Right, so there's like 70 seasons of Big Brother UK, and it's like several. Oh my God, yes, Levi, it's reality TV soap, possibly the worst thing ever created. Right. PH is like, no, all I have is treasure, and I think this is I think part of the thing to think about, right? That nobody is. Oh, let me see what I can sell. Let me sell some stuff to this person so that I can, since I'm here. We're gonna sell these things. Oh, and the thing is, I have mixed feelings about Taco Bell because, oh, that's really good. I mean, I will go to Taco Bell. I like Del Taco better, but I need to go where Krellin lives because I suspect that maybe the Taco Bells are better where Krellin is. And I really want to try a Taco Bell by Krellin. Well, there are different stereotypes. The Bayer is one stereotype. And by the way, I lived in Bavaria for 5 years. Don't talk smack about Bayer. As we say in Germany, as we say in Bavaria, it is nice to be a Preis, but it's higher to be a Bayer. Bayers are... Yeah, I think that's probably true, Krellin. I think that is actually probably very accurate. So everybody, like, there are stereotypes of everybody, right? And one stereotype of Germans that that we have is that they're all Nazis. Oh, Taco Bueno. I've never had Taco Bueno. Del Taco I really like, but again, right, I have no problem with a good fast food place. Also, Taco Bell did used to be lower quality, but were required by law to have more meat than bean in their mixture a while back, but no one went to try them again. Oh. You know, my favorite thing from Taco Bell is their taco pizza. Their Mexican pizza something or other. They have a pizza name for this thing that I really, really think is super tasty and I like a lot. So, you know, I mean, I don't think Taco Bell is the worst. I think the least favorite of mine would be Jack in the Box. And I really used to love Jack in the Box, but I think that Jack in the Box is not great so much now. Although maybe it's better now. I don't know. Perhaps. We'd have to see about that one. Okay. Sold things. Everything is great. My life is perfect. Now I just need to, the moon is out. Everything is beautiful. Jack has been in the box too long. Oh no, oh my gosh, Jack in the Box tacos are so bad. They are not good. Oh my goodness. Oh. I can't believe I just was reminded about Jack in the Box's tacos, which are bad. They're bad. Like, I mean, some things are good, some things are bad, and they were not good. And like their burgers aren't really very good. I like Wendy's burgers are quite good. Yeah. But Taco Bell's not bad. I like Del Taco because I think their French fries are the best French fries I've ever had. Just side note. No, that's true, isn't it? It is. It is a kind of a generic fast food place. And hey, maybe it has gotten better. I don't know. Like, I can't say. Like, they might have gotten better in their quality. but yeah, I find, yeah. Hold on a second. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Where do I go? Oh, deliver the cables to Petra, so I'm going back. It's good. We're going back. It's fine. Do you have Sunset Boulevard? Do we have a street called Sunset Boulevard? I still miss Taco Bell's 90s breakfast menu, though. The breakfast burritos were way better than they had any right to be for how cheap they were. Ooh, actually, their breakfast burritos were really good. Oh. Huh. Now I want sushi. Levi. Now you're making me... Now I want both a breakfast burrito and... Oh, there's a place called The Lighthouse. Can I get a breakfast burrito from them? Oh, a sandwich place. I have never encountered a sandwich place called Sunset Boulevard. That doesn't mean that the United States doesn't have them, because we have a lot of things. I've not heard of it, but we might have them. I don't know. Again, we're... Ooh. Oh, Ice Bunny, Europe has a lot of fake American things. Yeah, there are a lot of regional chains, so sometimes it's hard to sort of know exactly what is what. But Europe has so many fake American things, it is hilarious. I'm always amused by the high number of fake American things that happen in Europe. Like, oh, so many fake American things. Including bands, like not just food, but also in restaurants, but also bands. Like there are fake American bands that are not a thing in the United States. European America's made in China. Oh, the US also has a lot of fake American food. I'm not saying we don't. We 100% have a lot of fake American food. Oh, yeah. Now, what is tricky, though, about Chinese food being American is that a lot of Chinese food was made by Chinese Americans, right? So it is American, but also Chinese, but not from China. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of that Chinese food was made in America.
This is as high as we go?
But by Chinese Americans. Or Chinese people in America. So it's tricky, right? I mean, like, a lot of the Italian food we have is American, but was also made by Italian immigrants. So it's tricky, I think. I always think of those things as a little bit tricky. Right? The Mounts animation is so good. Well, American pizza is American, but also Italian American, right? So it's this kind of a tricky thing where it's both. Yeah. But again, like, you're not going to get American pizza. Well, actually, that's a lie. When I was hello. When I was in Italy, I did order something that was called an American pizza that we don't eat in the United States. So, I mean, there's that. Not necessarily. What are people doing over there? What's happening? Oh, these look like bad guys. I also look like I don't care. Oh, yeah, like we had this... Oh, I need to head east. I just need to go this way. Maybe it's possible. It's possible, but it is not, whatever, it was not so widespread as to be like, this is an American cuisine. Hello. What's going on? Also, it's certainly what I think is interesting is that it's not American style pizza, is what I would say. Is that Americans have, like, there are a couple different styles of pizza that I would say are American style pizzas. But oh, the American pizza was Italian style, so very thin, and it had hot dogs and French fries on it. So the American pizza was an Italian-style pizza with hot dogs and French fries on it. Cut up hot dogs. But I have never, and I know I've not been everywhere in the world, but I have yet to see a pizza with hot dogs and French fries on it. And also, again, like, it didn't have a lot of cheese on it because that's not the American style. So there wasn't a lot of cheese. There wasn't a lot of sauce. It was very thin on the sauce, very light on the cheese, and it had hot dogs and French fries on it. And I thought, yeah, this is very Italian.
You've got those behemoth cables, don't you?
That's what I would say.
I knew you'd come through.
And Jagris and Balaja should be along. Eventually.
We've been expecting you ever since they came back. Whatever you did, it worked. Now they're off snogging in the shed.
Finally. She put me on guard duty for a month, so I'm glad it was worth it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No problem.
I see you survived their bickering.
Barely.
I could say they struggle in love because they're young, but the old rarely...
It is very what Europeans think Americans eat.
Thank you, Aloy, for enduring them.
Oh, no worries. Oh my gosh. I love eating. So when I was in, I tried an American hot dog once. One bite, you put so much odd things on a hot dog. It depends. People put different things. Like we have, yeah, right. We eat hot dogs and French fries and pizza, but not at the same time, not on top of each other. Yes. And actually, this is really interesting because, Ice Bunny, what we put on a hot dog depends. There are different ways to eat a hot dog. I tend to like mine with all the fixings, like all the basic fixings. So I like my hot dog with pickle relish, mustard, mayo, and ketchup, which is like kind of a basic. But you can also get a chili dog, which is a hot dog with chili on it. You can get they're different. Sometimes you'll get something with like onions. What do you like? You like sauerkraut, sometimes put sauerkraut on a hot dog, but that's like a special kind of a thing. Sonic, yes, Sonic likes chili dogs. Yeah, hot dog toppings are really regional and they're different specialties, right? Like I think there's like a Chicago hot dog, which has some things on it. Sometimes you have cheese, sometimes you don't. So yeah, it's very regional what you'll put on a hot dog and what kind of style of hot dog. But I think it's important to note that our hot dogs are not like German sausages. They tend to have a different flavor to them. So like what kinds of things you put on the hot dog is green, like they have a different taste palette to them. So we often will add, they're a bit more generic in their taste. So we add more things onto them. Hot dog is sausage, mustard, remoulade, ketchup, onions, and fried onions topped with pickled cucumber. That's the hot dog I eat. Yeah, so, you know, our hot dogs are very regional, and they're a particular style. We don't tend like if I were going to get like a Sicilian sausage, if I were going to get a sausage sub, right, which is different from a hot dog. If I were to get like a Sicilian or Italian sausage and put it in between like a baguette, I would then not dress that like I would dress a hot dog because that's a different thing. I am not a big fan of sauerkraut, but I love Blaukraut, which is like it's a red sauerkraut. It's sweeter. So it's red cabbage, like with like a red wine vinegar and with like apples and raisins. That I really love. I love a good red. It doesn't have onions in it. I'm not the hugest fan of onions, and sauerkraut is often like too heavy on the onions. So if I like sauerkraut, will depend on how much onion is in there. If it's super heavy on the onion, then I will be less excited about it. Sometimes raisins, yeah. Apple, sometimes not raisins. It depends on your Blaukraut.
We may not see Jagris and Balaja before tomorrow.
Usually apple though. It depends how you make it. People make it in different ways. But when I was in Bavaria, you could often would often include some apple and sometimes raisins. Love myself some Blaukraut, which is the Bavarian way of saying Rotkohl, which is like the red cabbage sauerkraut. So I think I'm actually done with those with that particular side quest. I love red cabbage. I want some right now. I love red cabbage with sauerbraten, and then I'm like a really happy person. All right, so we have done a lot of we're gonna go and no, I'm not done playing with video games. But what I am gonna do is just zip over to we're gonna go. There are some things that we could be doing, like, what is this? There's a corrupted zone. Rotkohl, potatoes, and Blaukraut. So we've got a couple of like corrupted zones we could do, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go all the way over here. And maybe that will allow us to... I realize that we are not going fast, but that's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna head over here, and that's gonna get us closer to where we're headed, and we're gonna just kind of mosey. We're gonna mosey on towards that area. What was I gonna tell you? Oh yeah, so like in Europe, they have trashy things, but we do not tend to import those trashy things for the most part. So the American view of Europe is that it's like all museums and castles and fancy people who are nobles making high art. Like that is our sort of like vision, and everything's like 8,000 years old. And our vision of Europe is quite skewed. It's the idea of like everybody somehow is, yeah, you know, like you know that the original Enwer for Sauerbraten is Sir Horsington. Oh, it's fine for me. I don't care. Yeah. So I think that's like a yeah. See, PH is a noble and lives in a museum, and that's true about Europe. And it's so funny because when you actually go to Europe and you watch TV, Europeans have soap operas, and they've got like bad comedies, and they've got like cheap fast food, and like those things do exist, is all I'm saying. And people I know that people will like to pretend like that is not true, but like, you know, I'm just saying that Europe also has diversity and of things. All right, what are we doing? Where are we, and where are we going? So we want to head this way. Yeah, this is right. This is exactly right. PH is correct. The soap operas are just as good and or bad. So I know we're supposed to be going right over here for our quest, which we're not technically going to do. I mean, we are. What we're going to do is just slowly make our way there by traveling this route, which means that we are going to be distracted by things while I chat with you. And that's just going to be how that is. Yeah, like, oh my gosh. Right. You have reality shows. Yeah, like... European soaps are just like American soaps, but with toplessness. Topless. Oh, did I tell you that story about when I was a young, naive American in Europe and I saw nakedness? It was, and I don't mean toplessness. I mean like, stop. What's going on? What's happening over here? Hey, look, it's a cliff. Look how cliffy this is. Do you think I can make it down this cliff in my mount? I'm just asking if you think it's possible. I mean, it looks like... I bet I can do it. Hey, Mount, do you want to jump off this cliff with me? Don't die. Go! Oh, that's not good. Go this way. I don't want you to full-on die. I just want you to, you know, jump off some things. Oh, come on. Mount. Yeah, they mix a little softcore porn in now and then, and it's rather eye-opening when you grow up with female nipples being verboten. Yeah. So I was. Okay, look. This mount is not being helpful in its desire to jump off of things, which I find really frustrating. So I'm gonna jump off of things, and I'm gonna call the mount down to me. Come on. We're just jumping off of things. It's fun. I mean, what? I just feel like, what kind of life do you have if you don't just jump off of things every once in a while? Woo! Oh, hey, look, I died. I thought I'd hit the water. I just died, everybody. I want you to know, I just died. I just died. I thought I was fine. I thought I was fine there. More death. I thought I was fine. We're golden gods. Okay, where am I now? I don't even know where I am. Oh, I'm back where I was last time. Yep. One death splat. We're gonna go. Hey. Oh, I think that'll probably be really deadly. I feel like that would probably be really bad. We're gonna get a swan dive emote. Oh, wait, stop. We're going to get a swan dive emote. It's gonna be really good. I'm really excited about it. Just for the record. Let's try again. Splat. Oh, huh. Where will this take me? I think we're supposed to go down the official way. Fine. It's fine. We'll climb down like a regular, reasonable human being. Oh, yeah. This is what I wanted to tell you. I was in Germany. So I want to head over here. No, I want to go to my... It's fine. Can I just go here? So I feel like if I jump down here, I'll die, right? I feel like that's the message, that I probably shouldn't do that. But I feel like I can do maybe other things, like... Oh, nope. That wasn't it, everybody. That was not the way to get down. I was close, but that was not it. I do. Oh. Just. How many times have I died? Where are we at, everybody? 40 times. Uh-huh. So here's what it is. I want. Splat again. We're gonna try again, figuring out the best way to get down, because I know that there's some way to get down, and we're gonna find it. Like, their handholds and everything. I have died all of the deaths. We're gonna do it. Like, we're gonna find a way. And wouldn't it be awful if once I get down here, that is not even where I need to be? That would be hilarious. But, you know. Oh, look. I think we should probably go this way. Fine. Okay. Hey, at least I'm not using my medicinal herbs for anything. I just want to get down. Like, is that too much to ask? Oh, here we go. All right. See, we're just gonna, it'll be fine. We're gonna drop down the ledge. This way? Well, let's jump. Jump! No, I died. That wasn't the way to do it. That wasn't the way to do it, everybody. So that wasn't how to get down. I feel like I was close. I I thought it was gonna work too. I was like, oh, you're just gonna jump across and hi, Mount. How are you? Okay, look, I want to get down here because there's a Bannock figure that's right there, and I feel like they're telling me that I can go this way. Look, first off, I think it's unfair they don't let me just jump the way I want to jump. That they're tantalizing me with the options, but then not letting me do it. Hey, left-handed monkey wrench, how are you? Right now we are trying to make it down off this cliff without dying, and I've died 3 times so far, because if there's one thing that we know about me is that I apparently really like falling off of things, and that is my goal in life, apparently. So, you know, that's it. Left-handed monkey wrench, how are you doing, and what are you doing? And do you think there's just like I feel like I should be able to climb down here without dying. I really feel like I should be able to do that. I don't know if... Hey, I did it! I'm not dead! I'm super injured, but I'm not dead. It is quicker. Again, it may not be better, but it is quicker, and that is true. So I made it into the water. I didn't die. And I feel like life is good. You're working on another 3D printing project. Oh. So I want to go here. I want to find this Bannock figure. Not dead is basically the same as perfectly fine. So tell me about this. I put my brace back on because I wasn't in combat. It's just hard to do combat with the brace on, but I do think it is helpful when I'm not. Tell me about this 3D printing project that you are up to. What are you doing? Would I have to climb back up again? That would be terrible. Spent all this time climbing back down. That water looks a bit weird right over there. Fine. Oh, I was going to tell you the story. I forgot to tell you the story. I had a story about nakedness in Europe that I wanted to share. So, when I was in Germany, I think I might have to find a way up. I also like climbing. It's not just falling off of things that I enjoy. I also do like climbing up things. I mean, you know. So I'm here, and I need to be here. So I need to be this way. I don't know. I don't know, everybody. I'm trying to make a dice holder shaped like the Death Star. Ooh. That sounds fun. So I was in Germany, and one of the things that I liked to do to learn the language... What is this? Hi. Are you gonna help me climb up? Come on. Help me climb up. Is that I liked to... The thing is that there's a handhold right there. Which makes me feel like there should be a handhold somewhere else. There we go. Translation. I like climbing also means I like setting myself up for a spectacular falling death. These are true statements. I would not dispute them. Ooh. All right. Oh, hey, what's happening? Sorry, I'm having a climbing moment. It's cool. So I was watching a crime show because I always find that one of the best ways to learn a language I know, camera, come on. What are we looking at right now? Where am I going? Maybe I'm going this way? No. Maybe I just go over there? That's probably it. And then I try to find a jumpy space. What am I even doing? What is my life like right now? Maybe over here is a jumpy space? Yep. Wait, I was watching the crime show's called Tatort, and it's a regular German crime show where they have each they're made by different German states, so they're different detectives for each different place. It's a very big show. Anyway, I was watching an episode of Tatort, and this is what happened. So a couple, I didn't tell you why. So I watched soap operas and crime shows because with crime shows, you know what the plot is. It's the same plot all the time. Somebody gets murdered, the detective has to figure out who did it. And so if you don't know the language, you know the plot, so it can help you learn the vocabulary. And an episode of Tatort was filmed in your dad's house? That's so cool. And soap operas also have very similar plots. Somebody's cheating on someone else. So once you know the plot, you can sort of figure out, it helped me learn German. So I was watching this episode of Tatort, regular crime show, and he was the sub-ambassador in Bavaria. That is so cool. That is so cool. And in this episode, a male and a female couple had just had sex with each other, because that is what happens. I think it's the next morning. And the phone rings. So, well, before the phone rings, the first thing I noticed about this couple is they did not have the L-shaped blanket, which they always have in the United States, wherein the man and the woman are in bed and they're talking to each other. And for the woman, the blanket is up here, and for the man, the blanket is like at his waist, so you cannot see the woman's boobs. But in Europe, you can see her boobs, and I was like, oh, the woman's boobs. Slightly scandalous, but I can handle it. I'm like, I'm cool, I'm hip. And then the phone rang, and the guy gets up out of bed and walks across the room to pick up the phone, but he was full frontally nude. Like, he was naked, walking across the room to pick up the phone, and it was somebody who wanted to meet him, and then he gets murdered. But the point is, there was full frontal male nudity on television, and I was so shocked, and all my German friends made fun of me. They're like, oh, you prudish American. Ha 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 ha. And it's not that I'm a prudish American, it's just that we don't have full frontal male nudity on television. Just seeing a male butt is like enough to cause a scandal in US television. Like full frontal male nudity, I was like, oh my gosh. And that was just like one of these differences between Americans and Europeans that I had to laugh about in the end, right? Because ooh. Butts are scandalous. But then he died. So clearly being nude on TV means the same thing in Europe as in the US. Probably, Krellin. Yeah, so, I mean, I figured it out, right? I learned. But it was just, because we just don't see that on US television. So we have this Bannock figure. Punishment. Tektuk. In my exile, I often envision your eyes, wide and blue and dumbstruck, as the body of Signac, our chieftain, was laid before you. The Werax saw how I looked at his mate, Illy, your mother. To them, my guilt was as plain and sharp as the crack of spring ice. As they stripped me bare and left me to die on the glacier, the warmth of life departed me, but not the bitter will to hunt, to strive, to survive, to perhaps to prove I needed no one, least of all those who wronged me. I'm only at peace when I paint my marks and craft these offerings to you, though they will never touch the warmth of your hands. Tektuk, there's much I would confess to you, but one thing I cannot. I did not kill Signac, our chieftain, who claimed to be your father. That night I was alone in my tent, drunk with cold wine, dreaming as I always did, of Illy, your mother, and her sunset smile. You will never hear my testament, and my offering will never touch the warmth of your hands, but I paint my mark in the light of truth. I know what I'm guilty of and what I am not. I hope against hope that in your heart you will know the same. Oh, this guy did not kill the person. I want to know how it happened. I think that prudishness with television is the foundation of Americans' rampant body shaming. Probably. Yeah, we have a lot of weirdness in the United States in that we are both like hyper prudish, but also like the number one producer of pornography in the world, which I think is clearly related. Clearly. Like we have this weird, how do I get down? What's the best way to get down from here? Is it jumping off of things? Or do I climb up? Huh. Well, maybe I go up rather than down, and that's the way out. Maybe. I can call my mount, though. Where am I, and what am I doing? Okay, I want to go this way. So I want to head north and west. So I want to head west and also north. Which I think I can just do. Like, I think I can probably get here without a lot of drama. Yeah, so the thing is, we also just produce all the pornography in the United States. And we also highly sexualize things. Oh, hi. I don't want to hang out with you at all. Nope. I do not want to hang out with you. You are not my friends. A trooper gets lost and falls off cliffs. This is really what it's about for me. It's about getting lost and falling off cliffs. It's not the journey. Wait, no, it is the journey.
Again.
Where's this campfire that I discovered? Can I still call my mount? I can. So I'm going to, go across here, and I'm going to call my mount, and then everything will be fine.
Gonna have to run my boots dry.
There we go. And I'll just, I feel like everything is fine. Hi, Mount. How are you? Oh, no. Oh, come on. Why are you attacking my mount? Why is this my life? What are you... Ugh. Ugh.
It's on to me.
My poor mount. Ooh, my poor me. Ugh. My mount? Timmy! Timmy is dead! I'm gonna go over here for a moment, and I'm gonna hide.
That's it. I'm already gone.
I just lost my mount. My mount was murdered. Little Timmy's dead. That was so sad. I had that whole Timmy for like a whole, 5 minutes. Well, not 5 minutes, but I'm gonna just be low-key sad about that for a moment while I get medicinal herbs. And I can't believe little Timmy's dead. Poor Timmy. Death is only the beginning. But not for little Timmy. I believe my heart will go on, but it's gonna have to go on without little Timmy. So sad. So sad. Yeah, the United States is weird. Although I will say, it's not like we're the only ones who have pornography. Like, they make pornography in other countries too. Yeah, once I get the medicinal herbs, then I'll be fine. So here, oh hey, wait. We should get that. I realize that we are not hitting our quest, but That's fine. There's an ancient vessel, and I feel like we should not move on until we find it. Get that ancient vessel. In honor of Timmy. I mean, it's just right over there. We're just going to pick it up, and it'll be fine. It's fine. Japan has 1/5 of their population. They make... Yeah, they do. They make lots of pornography. I'm just saying that... Here we go. What is this? We've got our ancient debris. We've got a thing we can look at. What is this? Summer Sale Yum Now. Oh, I found all the ancient vessels. I feel special. We're gonna need another team. I'm gonna watch that. The Yum Now Summer Sale starts right now. Yum Now. Hey, fitness buffs, how's that summer six-pack coming? Need a little extra boost? Yum Now loaded protein cartridges are 30% off through July 15th. Yum Now loaded protein cartridges are made from 100% all-natural whey protein. And talk about easy. Just install in any Yum Now nutritional printer, and you'll be on the fast track to the real beach, real bod you always wanted. Yum Now. Leave avatar sexing to the fugs. Huh. Interesting. So that's done. We did that. Let's leave. Let's head over here to this one. I wish I had a Timmy, but I don't. So this is it. We're going this way. Is this medicinal? It is. I feel like this game encourages drug use. Does it? Maybe. I don't know. But we're gonna just head out over here. It's gonna be kind of mellow, just while we're chatting. So anyway, I did want to tell you all something. Yes. So Europe is full of naked people, and that can scandalize Americans. But it's fine. I think it would be good for us to relax a little bit about naked bodies. Because, oh, you want to know what? Here's something really interesting about naked bodies. Do you know what is not at all sexy? Naked bodies just hanging out. And I think that, oh, that's true. We are full of guns that scandalize Europeans. They are super scandalized by our guns. That is fair. Although, something I find interesting about that... Hello, guard. Just sort of thinking about things that are scandalous, is that when I lived in Bavaria, there were a lot of gun shops where I lived. You know? And now I realize that this is not, we're gonna get a new Timmy. Not my favorite kind of style Timmy, but we're gonna get a new one. I realize that we are not, we're not gonna get to this plot point before the end of the session today, but we will get to the plot point next session, without a doubt. Like, that is 100% a thing we're gonna do. Did I ever see the U.S. is, did I ever see a civilian with a gun? Even though there's one gun for every American, over half, that's right, it's true. The thing is, Bavaria, they were hunters, right? So, there were hunters in Bavaria. People would go hunting. So, it's not like... So there were civilians with guns. They didn't open carry or hang out, but here we go. I mean, it was a possibility of a thing. I have got this metal flower. Ooh, I only need one more to complete this. Once we complete these 2 metal flower sets, then I will read the poetry, but we're not there just yet. And my understanding is that in Switzerland, everybody owns a gun. Civilians with guns sounds like a reality show. Oh, and if it were a British reality show, all those civilians with guns would be drunk. Just side note. That is also a thing that I think I should share with you all. Yep, you do have to get certificates. I mean, you do also need a gun license in the United States. It's just that getting a gun's license is not difficult. Okay, we're gonna get a new Timmy. We just have to get close enough. Yeah, I mean, you do have to have a gun license in the US. It's just that it's not that hard to get one. But it's not like... It's not... I mean, it's... I think sometimes Europeans sometimes think it's worse in the United States than it is all I will say. And it's not like Europe doesn't have gun crimes. Like, there have been mass shootings in Europe as well, I will note. I'm gonna just get a brand new Timmy, by the way. You have to do classes. My boyfriend was shocked when I said I need to get one. Hey, Pumpkin. Welcome back. And what you have to do to get a gun varies by state in the US. Oh, they do have way less gun crime. They do. That is not even in doubt. Like, there is so much less gun crime. Also, they just shoot each other less. You know? They just shoot each other less. The supermarket next to my building was robbed at gunpoint a while back. But that was shocking in its rarity. The difference is they don't have to be military semi-automatic weapons. I think I'm being chased right now, so I think I need to run. Excuse me for a moment.
You're very close now.
I was wondering when you'd speak up.
There's a shield rock wall just ahead. Look close, and you'll find handholds in it.
Oh,
Oh.
really? And who put those there, Right. Why would I expect an answer? It's so much more exciting to keep it all a mystery. Crash the Eclipse Focus Network, he said. How are we gonna do that?
I just want to point out that we're gonna...
Wait, I forgot. We won't. I do all the dangerous stuff. You just listen in.
It's fine. I'm gonna trade with this merchant. It's gonna be cool. Yeah, although that guy, what was his face? Anders Breivik. He used an automatic style weapon to kill a lot of people. Which, you know. This mount is the same there are 3 different styles of mounts. Guns don't kill people. Stupid people kill peoples. Hey, Elusive Man 2018. The tricky thing about that is that it's much easier to kill a lot of people with a semi-automatic rifle than it is with, like, a knife. Like, if you just have a knife, it is hard to kill a lot of people with that. You know? Do you know what I mean? Oh, I saw this really interesting, guns don't kill people, bullets do. I was watching a video of some violence in the UK. I was in San Francisco for a computer conference in the early 90s and heard reports on TV, but did not see anyone armed. Yeah, San Francisco is not a particularly armed place. Then I was looking out of the window on the first day back in England and saw armed police tackle a couple of guys on the road outside the office. Oh, interesting. What must happen to get an honorary doctorate? To get an honorary doctorate, the school has to decide to give you one. You don't, like, you can't do anything to get an honorary doctorate. Like, you cannot, spoiler though, bombs are super easy to make and also kill a lot of people. That is also true. That is true. You can't, like, do anything. Speaking of which, I think Jazz Punk is in there, and I think I need to take that off. Yeah, you can't like specifically do something to get an honorary doctorate. You just live a life, and schools will usually give an honorary doctorate to one person a year, and then there's usually like a big discussion within the school about who to give it to, who do they think deserves it. So it's not like you don't specifically do something exactly. It's just that if you do amazing things in the world, people may want to give you one. The conference was in Mountain View at Silicon Graphics, just as the first. Oh, neat. Donate a lot of money to the school or be friends with the president of the school. If you lay a gun on a table by itself, will it kill someone? It depends on how you lay it on the table, right? Like if you throw, because there are people who are carrying a gun in their hand, well, on their waistband, and they do not specifically do anything, but the gun is like a hair trigger. It goes off and it shoots their testicles. I mean, people have, or a gun will drop. People have dropped guns and those guns have gone off and shot people. So the person themselves did not specifically do it, but you know, they dropped them and then, you know, because some people are, some people are not smart. I will say that. Oh, I was telling you, I was watching this show. Where is that? I'm going to be right back. Hey, I'm laughing at the fact that they did not have good gun safety is what I'm laughing at. But it was not like it was not a laughter of enjoyment. It was a bitter laughter of why don't people have better gun safety? Give a gun to a person with bias. The bias transfers the bias of the person to the gun. So it was a show. Oh, that's interesting looking. It was a British show about, like, you know, crimes and whatever. And so this guy was in a bar and he was drunk and he was angry and he was being belligerent. This was in the UK. And the bartender kicked him out of, this was all on CCTV, right? And so the bartender kicked him out of the bar. So he leaves because he's kicked out. He comes back with a weapon, meaning to go and do harm to lots of people. If this were the US, he would have come back with a really huge gun and just shot everybody. But this was not the US, this was the UK. So he came back and he would have killed a lot of people. Like, this guy would have come back angry, would have killed a lot of people. But this was the UK, so he did not have a gun. So he came back with a chainsaw. And he had this chainsaw, and he wanted to go and do mayhem and kill lots of people. And the people in the bar got out of melee range. They were like, he has a chainsaw. We will not let him close with us. So people, like, stayed out of range. And then they picked up chairs and I think in the end what somebody did was they rammed him with a metal beer keg, and they knocked him out, and then he was not able to kill anyone. And so he was not able to. Am I indoctrinated into what? What am I indoctrinated into what? Are we talking about the Mass Effect indoctrination theory? Also, gun laws made sense even as late as 10 years ago. Today they don't, because any schmuck can set up oh, that is so true. Manufacture guns of reasonably high. Oh, sorry, Elusive Man. What kind of indoctrination are you asking about? Are we talking about the Mass Effect indoctrination theory? Indoctrination theory for Mass Effect. You know, I didn't buy it because I thought it was too easy. And For Santo points out that now you can just basically do 3D printing. Makes everything pretty accessible. Yeah, so gun laws cannot prevent mass shootings going forward. I mean, this is a situation. I thought that the indoctrination theory was too easy, and I thought it wasn't actually really. It's like everything was a dream, as a way to get around feeling disappointed with the way that the. Did I save? I did. I feel nervous that there's a person here selling me stuff. I feel like this person here to sell me stuff is a bad sign, right? Like, I feel like that's a bad sign. Maybe I should craft potions. Maybe I should buy potions. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem, everyone. Hey, everyone, guess what? I just want to let you know that I feel like the reason why that person is there is so that I can, yeah, Hey everyone, I just have a thought about something, and that is that we are in trouble, and that we need to buy lots and lots of, So, I'm gonna make some fire arrows. Yeah, I think that person there is a sign that we're in trouble, and that I should maybe not go forward without, buying a lot of health potions. This is my current theory on that matter. Yeah. I think we're in trouble. I can make a... Yeah. This is... Yeah. Who uses potions? I thought you were supposed to never use a consumable ever, and in the game with all the consumables. Yeah, that's probably true. I am going to... Hey, Timmy, we're gonna buy things from this person, is what's gonna happen. Yeah, I was just thinking about the potions. Let's get some health potions, and let's... Because I don't have that many of them, let's have 10. And then let's also have 10 super health potions. And also, let's have 10... Oops, of full health. Yeah, we're gonna spend all of our money on those potions because I feel like we're gonna die. Yeah, this is final boss, but save them ones for the extra final boss. I just think that we're in a super in-game moment. Hey, Timmy, let's go to the camp and save right there. Let's do that. Let's do that, Timmy. Because I'm having a bad feeling about what's happening right now. Here, we're gonna quick save. And then we're going to come over here for a moment. Woo. There we go. Elusive Man. So here's the thing about the indoctrination theory. I think I feel like there's not enough, I don't find it to be convincing. I don't think there's enough evidence there, and I think that it doesn't really make sense narratively for the indoctrination theory to be a thing. Like, it doesn't ring true to me as a thing that happened. But I understand that there were a lot of people who were really, really, really frustrated with Mass Effect 3, and so they wanted to find anything to make that different than what it was. But I was actually okay with the ending of Mass Effect 3. It didn't bother me. So I didn't feel the need to find a way to make it something other than what it was in a really radical way. And it was okay. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was a little bit too much reading into it that I didn't buy it, but I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad at indoctrination theory. Yeah, so like it feels to me like indoctrination theory was a way to deal with not being happy with the ending at all and trying to find some other way for it to make sense. I don't buy it though. By the way, right now I am quitting out of the game. Let's quit out of the game. Oh yeah. The indoctrination theory basically says, if I remember correctly, that Shepard is... So you know how the Great Old Ones, that's not... Great Old Ones, that's not right. The Reapers can indoctrinate you if you're too close to them, hence causing you, basically controlling your body, making you see things that aren't there, right? So the idea is that Shepard has been indoctrinated by the Great Old Ones the entire time, and so a lot of the things that are happening are not exactly happening. And basically it's a way to have a different story than the one that you got. And I don't think... I don't buy it. I don't buy the indoctrination theory. I think that I don't think there's enough evidence for it. I think the evidence that is for it is weak. But I understand why people want it. I understand that people want it because they just really did not like the ending, and so they want some other justification for what happened. So that is my reading of it. Like, now, I think that people can interpret things however they want. I don't think the indoctrination theory is true, but I also think that if that is the thing that works for you, then that's totally fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that it's fine for people to interpret texts the way they want to interpret texts. I do not find that bothersome at all. So, and I think that the indoctrination theory is interesting. I think it's interesting that people did that and went through the process of like doing deep readings to come up with that interpretation. Like, I think that's really interesting. For Los Santo, I like PH. I also recommend the Mass Effect series. I think it's interesting. I enjoyed it very much. I think it's really good. I think it's good. Yeah, I recommend it. I was thinking, can I recommend it? And I can recommend it. I think at least if you can probably get Mass Effect 1 really cheap somewhere, and then I recommend at least playing it, to seeing how you feel about it. I like it. I recommend it. Also, I'm enjoying the Horizon Zero Dawn wordless singing that you're hearing in the background. That's it. So, let me tell you what's up, everyone. We're gonna close it. It's like it's 3:13, and I should get food is what I should do. But let me tell you where we're at. I'm Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole, and I want to 1 and 2 are awesome. 3 is a great game, but Krellin doesn't like the sequels at all. I know, so much good progress talking to chat. I like all 3 of them, and I also like the ending, so I'm a bit of an outlier. Some people like 1 but hate 2 and 3. Some people just hate the ending. There are a lot of different opinions. I think the only thing I could say is play 1, see how you feel about it, and then maybe pick up 2, see, like, just, do your thing. When I'm doing this, I'm looking at chat is what's happening. It's possible I might have liked 2, 3 more without having played 1, but 2 was not a follow-up game to 1. I like the ending, but I think it was a little weak. 1 hasn't aged as well as the other 2. I liked 2 as a follow-up to 1. I know I'm an outlier, but I liked them. I thought they were good. Oh, right. I wanted to tell you, we have a Discord. If you want to join us on the Discord, we were talking about sandboxes. Actually, and that's where our conversation bled over here. You can find me at Academic Foxhole on Twitter, in case you want to do that. I also have a YouTube where the archive of these recordings are hanging out if you want to catch up on anything. Let me tell you what's happening for this week before we see if we can raid someone, which I think will be really fun. So, next week, Thursday, I will be streaming at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here, where the water tastes like wine, and probably also more chatting, and probably also a bit more show and tell. And on Friday at 2 p.m. on the Greyhawk channel will be the first episode of a Ghosts of Saltmarsh campaign that I'm playing in. And I am playing a rogue who is a dad, a sad dad, with a daughter who's a PC, who's a smuggler, and a native to Saltmarsh. And then I'm also playing, because we each have 2 characters, I'll also be playing a cleric, a dwarf, a dwarven cleric of Procon, the god of the sea, who was a shipwright, and now is like had a religious experience, is now dedicated their life to the god of the sea. And I'm still working on this cleric, but the cleric has a charisma of 7, so I need to figure out what that charisma of 7 looks like from an RP perspective. What makes this cleric not charismatic? I've got to work that out. I'm also thinking, what is the sad dad sad about? The sad dad is quite charismatic, so I don't think he presents as sad. I don't think that he comes off as sad to other people, because I think he's, it's like a Dex charisma. But I think that he's got some lingering things about the mom, because the mom is not present. So human dad, half elf daughter. So the mom is an elf, and the mom showed up one night in a storm, mysteriously injured, attacked by someone. And he nursed her back to health and also hid her because he's a smuggler, so he could hide her. And they were together for like a year or so. A little Aquaman. And then one night, he goes off to smuggle some stuff. He comes back and she's missing. The little daughter is still there, but she's missing, and the house has been roughed up, and he doesn't know if she just left as mysteriously as she came, or if she were kidnapped. We don't know. So I don't think he presents as sad dad because of his high charisma. But I think there's like this sort of unknown mystery about who the mom was. Had to go back to Atlantis. It was too bad. So I don't think he's going to come off as a sad person. I don't think that's going to be... I'm not intending... I mean, we'll find out when we actually get to the character, but I don't think he's going to come off as sad. I don't think that's going to be his presentation of self. And then the dwarf, I'm still working out the dwarf a little bit. I'm trying to work out some of the backstory. Hold on a second. Let me... Well, it's fine. No, it's not fine. Here, there. Less loud music. So I'm trying to figure out. I've got some things I need to work out with my dwarf that I've not yet decided on. But my sense is that the dwarf, Adric Firstsmith, is... What was this? I don't want to worry about that. So the dwarf is from the north, right? Because there's like a group of dwarves that come from the north into Saltmarsh, and that's causing sort of political tensions because the kingdom, Saltmarsh has always been very independent and fishing, right? And sort of doing its thing. And the kingdom that Saltmarsh is a part of has never really paid attention to Saltmarsh, which is in the south. They've always been sort of thinking northern. Krellin, yes, he is a disgrace to his entire family. Thank you, Krellin. Krellin knows me. Krellin knows me. Thank you, Krellin. You know. Yes. So like all of these dwarves from the north have moved down to sort of start up mining and to do a big mining situation, hoping to sort of bring all this kind of new stuff to Saltmarsh. And traditionalists are like not into it. And the dwarves and the northerners are like, ooh, industry. And my thought is that he comes down with his family, the Firstsmith family, who are like big sort of like, miners and smiths and like really into that space. And he wasn't into it, right? That he was sort of really taken in by the sea. And rather than following in his family's footsteps of being like good mining smith types, he kind of went a little native and really sort of threw himself into being a shipwright and into like the life of the sea as opposed to the mountains. And that was a disgrace to his family. They were like, you are a disgrace. I'm also thinking, yes, exactly. Oh no, we're done with the game for today. And so him sort of abandoning the smithing, right? The smithing tradition, going into shipwriting was a huge disgrace for his family, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care about that. And he's quite young. Like, I think he's like 20. And so he he abandoned his family's lineage to become a shipwright, and that was disgraceful. And I also think probably his lack of charisma means he was not able to explain his love to, like, probably his lack of charisma exacerbated the tension, and so he sort of, you know, disgraced his family, became a shipwright, did the seas, had some sort of big religious experience, and has now dedicated, has just become a cleric of Prokan, the god of the seas and of the tempests. Yeah, he's like a little dwarf baby. He's young, and so he is young and impetuous. And I'm still trying to work out how his low charisma manifests for him. I haven't yet, because I don't want him to be an asshole. But I'm trying to figure out my second character for the Ghosts of Saltmarsh game that is happening on Friday at 2 p.m. on the Greyhawk channel. So I'm trying to figure out, because I don't feel like I don't think like stereotypical gruff dwarf is the way I want to go with him at all. I'm thinking maybe I'm still working out how I want that Charisma 7 to manifest. How he's not persuasive, how he's not deceptive, how he's not like, I don't have it yet. Ooh, yeah, deathly afraid of confrontation. Ooh, especially with his family, can't talk. Afraid of confrontation, I think is pretty good. Oh, I like that, Krellin. Yeah. I like that. That he's just really. And then also, right, like that also perhaps he's so enamored with the sea. I could also see him being a little distracted, right? Distractible, or obsessive, right? This kind of idea that maybe he is sort of obsessed with the sea in certain ways, obsessed with ships, that does not make him a great conversationalist. And I'm trying to channel the idea of the ocean. I think he's going to be chaotic neutral, because the god of the sea is chaotic, right? And I'm kind of thinking of somebody who's not good with confrontation and doesn't know how to talk to people. Do you know what I mean? Like that. I think that he's like, I'm thinking about him like a new convert. Like, I think that this could also be interesting. He's a new convert to the god, so he's super excited about it. He's like, oh, this is so exciting. And that he probably talks about it in ways he probably shouldn't. Yeah, so I'm still working out just some of the details about how I want to do the characterization so that when I'm switching between characters, you can really feel the difference. Is it he prefers to avoid confrontation, or does he just assume that all confrontation ends in violence? I think there's an interesting conflict that's here that I might want to lean into, that might be interesting, that Procon is the Tempest. What the heck does harmonic chronomicron even mean? Man, I joined Arachnos because I couldn't afford a good education. Why are you asking me? Well, that and the shooting people. True, shooting people is pretty good. I'm thinking about the way in which, if you are a Tempest, if you are a cleric to a Tempest god, you get heavy armor, and it's kind of like, it's like Thunder God, you know, it's a kind of a slightly violent god, and the sea is very unforgiving. So maybe, right, and like the Procyon, the god, is a very unforgiving god. Oh, here's something that's really cool. You don't really have a lot of power if you go inland, and so by dedicating himself to the god of the sea, that is a real spit in the face of his family, right? Because his family are hill dwarves, and by dedicating himself to the god of the sea, that means he's not going back into the mountains. So that I think is like, so I think there's going to be real conflict with his family there, just by a lot of the choices that he's made, not just abandoning the smithing, but then going one step further to sort of dedicate yourself to a god that means you're never going to leave the coast is not great for your family. So I'm wondering about this relationship to a god that is not particularly pleasing, because like sea gods are harsh. Do you know what I mean? Like they can be rough. They can be rough. They can be stormy, right? So thinking about the ways in which going from, and the sea is not very so like clearly I think of him as breaking with tradition in some ways, and in ways that didn't work out. So I'm still trying to work out how that low charisma is gonna work. And no, his granny doesn't love him. I think his whole family is upset with him, like completely upset with him, because I think he's the firstborn child. So he's the firstborn child, and he abandoned everything. And I think that he disgraced them. And I've got another way that he's going to disgrace them. It's really exciting. So I see him as being a huge disgrace, and him. Ooh. That's good, Pumpkin. Blaming him for some of that as well. So I'm trying to work it out. I think that maybe some of like the storminess that can be pulled into maybe he's a little bit gloomy. That could be a way. He could be a bit gloomy. Oh yeah, water is a huge problem for mines. Yeah. Maybe he's a bit gloomy, and maybe his, that could be where his low charisma comes from. Gloominess, fatalistic perhaps. Yeah. Anyway, I have a week to figure it out, and I'm still going to keep thinking about it, because I'm thinking that in terms of like RPing, because I'm playing two characters for this campaign, right? So I want to make sure that the two characters really read differently from each other. Yeah. Oh, there's a dwarf like that in Pathfinder Kingmaker. Oh, interesting. I need to play that game. So I'm thinking the father will be sort of easy, charismatic, friendly, a liar, quite deceptive. Oh, god of entropy. Huh. Like always friendly to talk to people, always happy to buy around, sort of jolly, but a liar, always deceptive, but neutral good, because he's a smuggler, so he breaks the law, but he's also sort of a traditionalist and he doesn't want things to change. So I think that you can kind of make a balance there. But I'm thinking like a really nice sort of open, I've got to work on voices and like how do I want to hold my body for these characters. But then the dwarf I'm thinking is quite young. I'm thinking maybe impulsive, perhaps some impulse control problems. Does things perhaps without thinking them through all the way. Yeah. Not worldly. Perhaps that fear of confrontation leads to being swayed. Maybe a bit of a... sometimes easily led astray, perhaps. But holds to certain things, sort of obsessed. Like, I have to get my dwarf. I've got to get my dwarf down. I don't have the dwarf completely set, but I've got a general concept. I've got the backstory, but the personality isn't yet fixed, isn't yet there. The dwarf is the kind of person that's always told to argue before doing anything because they're so rash. Yeah, like I think that there's gonna be some interesting contradictions with this dwarf, right? That they are this god of the sea, so they're stormy. They've got this like real potential for violence. I'm kind of thinking they're very teenager-like. Easily fished in. Yeah. I think that they're very much like a teenager with big feelings, I'm thinking. I have to sort of, I need to play around with it before the game starts. We don't have a session 0, so I don't yet know, so I won't be able to play around. I'm gonna just have to jump in and play with it when it's there, to figure out who this person will really be. But I'm thinking moody. I'm thinking moody will help, right? Moody and a little bit rash. Perhaps can rub people the wrong way without realizing it. I've got to work it out in my mind. Hey, show up on Friday. We'll find out. I don't know who I'm playing on Friday yet. I don't know which party is going to start. So I don't know. We'll find out, but we'll see. It's going to be Ghost of Saltmarsh. Has the dwarf experimented or is experimenting with some substances? I don't know. I think the dwarf is super into the sea, though, like in an obsessive way. I think I can imagine a kind of a dreaminess about the dwarf as well. Like a dreaminess about the ocean. Oh, I didn't get there. I didn't finish my dwarf's equipment. I have to do that. I have to finish my dwarf's equipment. I decided to roll for my smuggler. I decided to roll for Jeep gold pieces and do it by hand rather than go the packages. And because I wanted a rowboat, which is 50 gold, and I got enough gold so I could afford it. But oh gosh, my poor smuggler is poor, does not have money, and has pinups of Triton ladies. Maybe, right? I mean, we will find out. Yeah. I think I just need to finish my poor smuggler, because I also wanted a brewer's kit, which is not, which I had to buy extra, which is like 20 gold pieces as well. So I wanted a rowboat and this brewer's kit, which is 70 gold pieces for the backstory, and that's 70 gold pieces. And so like I am like, ooh, I've got some armor and I've got a short sword, but I don't have, like, I couldn't afford to get a rapier. It was too much. A rowboat, because he's a smuggler, right? And and smugglers need boats. He's a boat smuggler. Like, he smuggles things on the boat. So he has a rowboat, and he has a brewer's kit, because that's his cover, that he's a brewer, which is, yeah. So that was 70 gold pieces. And so I got the leather armor, but I couldn't get studded leather armor. I got a short sword, but I couldn't afford a rapier. I do not have a ranged weapon at all. I don't think I could afford daggers. Yeah. You can't, the rowboat may not last very long, but it's for backstory, right? Like, I'm buying I only have like 3 days worth of rations though. So, it's entirely possible. You should know me. I will buy the things that work for, there are rivers. I mean, it's a Saltmarsh is, oh, there's a name for that besides boat smuggler. Ooh. Saltmarsh is right on the coast. It's like I think that Ghost of Saltmarsh is a pretty, aquatic sort of set of adventures. So he's gonna, he's got a rowboat, which I don't know if they'll use it or not. I don't even know if it will come up. I also don't even know if our brewer supplies will come up. But the point is, that's like what he would have as part of his backstory. So I am not opposed to spending money or character points or feats or resources on things that will never be used in game if it's part of a backstory. Boat smugglers smuggle illegal boats. But there's a river. There's a set of rivers. So yeah, but I just went with the basic setups for the cleric, because I don't think he necessarily needs all of that. Like, I didn't need to go into too much detail. I think he can go with basics. Okay. Oh, and then Saturday again at noon, I will be I will be playing more Horizon Zero Dawn. What do you smuggle to Saltmarsh? See, this is a good question. So here's the thing, y'all. I want to do a raid. I want to do a raid. And our raid, so this is our raid command for those who pepper, maybe dragonborn items, maybe elven alcohol. I don't even know. Whatever it is. Oh, slaves. But he would not be smuggling slaves because he's river, not ocean. But there's like there are pirates that are slavers. So that is like a thing. That's a thing. But he's not a slaver. So who are we going to raid? We are going to raid. Why don't we raid? You know who I want to raid? I want to raid. I want to raid 8-Bit Dylan. Oh, you're welcome, Left-Handed Monkey Wrench. I will have a great rest of the weekend. But maybe, see me all next week. Pulling your boat across sandbars. Oh, yeah. So let's raid 8-Bit Dylan. It looks like 8-Bit Dylan is live. So I think we can raid him. I think that is true. And I think we should do that, right? I think we should raid him. How do I do this? I'm going to just press raid. Yes. Okay. So we're going to raid 8-Bit Dylan. Just go over there and say hello. 8-Bit Dylan is pretty awesome. And I will see you next week. So take care, everybody. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Take care of yourselves and let's go raid. Bye, everybody. We're going to raid.